Welcome to the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast with your host, hailing from Kokona, Wisconsin, riding a CST Tires SSI decals Valvoline backed Yamaha YFC 450R, four-time ATV Motocross National Champion, number 25, Kory Ellis.
What's up, everybody?
We're back!
Welcome to the latest edition of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, episode 142 of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, CST Tires, in stock and available for purchase today at shop.csttires.com. I'm your host, Kory Ellis, saying hello to our more than 260,000 monthly Digging Deep listeners in 109 countries in which you are listening, and this is a monumental episode, our 2024 Briarcliff Legends Race Preview Show. The moment we've all been waiting for is finally here. The event many of us dreamt of, featuring our favorite ATV racing legends back at an ATV Motocross National and on track no less. In the upcoming episode, we'll preview this unforgettable weekend with track owner and promoter Jeremy Osborn. We'll also catch up with former series champions Joe Byrd, Dustin Wimmer, and Shane Hitt as they prepare for this once-in-a-lifetime event. Plus, we'll hear from more legends like Kory Ellis, Nick Denoble, and David Haagsma. Finally, we'll wrap up with Nick Gennusa, who hosted Dustin Wimmer and Travis Spader at his facility for their months-long prep for this legendary event. If you thought you were excited for the weekend already, just wait until you tune in to this epic race preview episode of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. But before we drop the gate on this one, let's quickly shout out all of our incredible partners. CST Tires, go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Namura Technologies, Bronco ATV and UTV Components, Lauderdale Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, the financial advice of the Haymauer Financial Group, DP Brakes, Factory 43, Mickey's Forever ATC Museum, Impact Solutions, Ultimate Poly Products, UPP Racing, our choice when it comes to case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP15 at uppracing.com, the D6 Ultimate Quad Series, and Manscaped to get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. Speaking of legendary, whether it's the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, the GOAT of electric razor trimmers, my favorite, the Beard Hedger Pro Kit from Manscaped, or the best nose hair trimmer ever created, the Weed Whacker 2.0, get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. So rad that Manscaped is continuing to invest in ATV racing as a longtime partner of Digging Deep, but we need you to help support that code. Help us keep them in the fold and involved in ATV racing by using our Digging Deep 20 code so they know you enjoy digging deep and all that we're about. Support all the great companies that support us, and for any products that fall through the cracks, click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website to help us out. It's that time of year, the season is a grind, and you're surely experiencing a little wear and tear at this point. No matter what off-road gear parts you need, Rocky Mountain ATVMC has you covered. But before you buy, simply click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website. By using our specific link, we get a percentage of what you buy on the back end, enabling you to help us out a little bit while purchasing the parts you need anyway. And did you know you can buy OEM parts from Rocky Mountain ATVMC as well? Yep, shipped conveniently right to your door. So click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner at diggingdeepatvmx.com to help us out while satisfying all your gear and parts needs. Shout out to all of our donors, and if you are interested in donating and hearing your name on the show, you can find the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee donation links on our website. Major thanks to all who have donated over the years, of course. Now, if you can't donate, but you still want to help us out, you can always leave us a rating or a review on iTunes and Spotify. Those 5-star reviews help us out a bunch too. And one final note as you listen to this monumental Digging Deep episode, while you're listening, head over to our Facebook page and check out our Quad Cross of Nations European Trip VIP Experience drawing presented by the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. If you have ever wanted to go to the Quad Cross of Nations across the pond, this is your opportunity to do so. And much like this Legends race, I don't know if this will ever happen again. So check that out. If you have any interest in going to the Quad Cross of Nations later this year, it's an opportunity that you do not want to miss. Now, It's showtime. The 30-second board is up, it's sideways, and the gate is down. Time to dig deep.
Let's go!
All right, guys, we are starting this Legends Race preview show with kind of the man of the hour, I would say, the guy that really put all the legwork in to make this thing happen. We were just briefing before we hit record on this thing, and we've been talking about the fact that he's had this goal in mind, had to be the puppeteer behind the curtain, pulling the strings for this thing for many, many, many months. I think the better part of a year. Of course, I'm talking to Jeremy Osborn, owner of Briarcliff. And Jeremy, it's finally here. Take me through the emotions, the feelings. What does it feel like now that we're, a week away from this thing?
I feel pretty tired, pretty wore out. I've probably logged well over 250 machine hours, changing the track, adding parking, the number of private messages, emails, and remembering where those are is beyond belief right now. Just everyone communicates differently, and it's a bit of a struggle to remember. Oh, Joe Byrd likes the text, or John Natale will reach you through Messenger.
Hey, I got the same thing going on, man. I'm like checking every app I got.
I'm sure you're really familiar with that. But no, I would say I'm feeling tired and excited at the same time. So it's a weird combination.
Well, we chatted about the fact before we hit record too, that it's basically like managing a whole additional event on top of an ATV National. It was only a few years ago, you got the ATV National back, right? And it was this big thing, and you were making it an event to be at, a true event, an attraction. And, you're definitely doing that now, but it's like, you got to do that on top of, this big hoopla, the biggest race of the year, the biggest race of probably the decade, all these things on top of an ATV National. That's just got to feel like a lot of weight, I would think. And I think that that's kind of what you're outlining here.
It's definitely a lot of weight, but the last 10 years, our first ATV National is when we started running area qualifiers for MX Sports as well. And so our last 10 years have kind of prepared us for I don't want to call it the easy part, but like the little things that are simple for me now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the organization and just tying it all together with all these different people is a little bit more difficult. But we're drilling down, getting down the dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
It's finally here, man. I'm absolutely over the moon about this thing. So let's talk about the structure of the weekend. I think that that's something that I get messages about every day at this point. I know it's ever changing. The first interviews that I did earlier in the week, it was very much a talking point that the riders were like nervous about the fact that the first time they were going to be on the track, it was a qualifier Saturday morning, all those things. I promptly got a text the next day from you saying, hey, change of plans. We're going to add a couple free practices basically on Friday for these guys. So take me through the structure for the Legends themselves for the weekend that awaits.
So for the Legends, we're now offering 2 practice sessions Friday at noon and 2. They'll get, typical 10 minutes each, just for them to get comfortable with, okay, this turns here, that jumps there. And originally I was just going to do 1 qualifier practice a Saturday morning, and most of the guys weren't really happy with that. So I said, well, we'll give you the typical sight lap Saturday and then have a qualifier. So I was going to put them in like group 3 in the order. And when I was going to start early at like 7:45, so they would get on the track about 8 and then at 9:15. Mm-hmm. And then for whatever reason this week, maybe the last part of last week, I think every single one of them messaged me or emailed me and said, hey, why can't we run Friday practice? Mm-hmm. It just got to the point once I think Travis or one of them said that. And I was like, all right, fine. We're doing Friday practice for at least a couple sessions.
Well, and I think a point for some of them, right, is the fact that some of these guys are coming in having not ridden at all. Most of them have ridden very little. So I think that that's a big part of it.
That kind of resonated with me. The more I thought about it, and actually the last time Shane stopped out and rode, I thought to myself, man, if I'm in my 50s and I haven't ridden for a while and I'm going to some track I've never even been to, I can kind of get where they're coming from now. So
yeah, I get it.
I feel like I think what we're doing is adequate, but not over the top.
I think so too. I think that this is going to make everybody super happy. And again, it's not a requirement. It's not like they have to go pound laps, but at least you can get used to the racetrack. I think that that sets everybody up to be safe and have fun and be, kind of bring their best to Saturday. So I think that that's really exciting, especially because these guys aren't like, they're not used to going 0 to 100 like they're going to in qualifying there.
Other side,
yeah,
kind of thought about it because I've had a couple guys ask me, could we buy practice group sessions to get extra practice? And I thought to myself, man, do you really want to ride that much? Like, not saying you're not in shape or anything, but man, if I hadn't ridden in a long, long time, I mean, think about that. We take off the whole winter and then you ride the first time all year.
You're sore.
Not so hot. So.
And the next day you're cashed. But at the same time, these guys, you know how they think they're the best of the best, right? At one time or another. So, they want to bring their best to it. They want to do their due diligence. And that makes sense, I guess, to a point. But yeah, you're right. But again, it's not required. So if they spin some laps, they feel good. They feel good about it. They don't need to spin an excessive amount of laps on Friday. Right. And it'll be cool. I said to one of the guys in the interviews that are ahead here, I said to one of the guys, it's going to be cool to have a little more track time for these guys too, because that's what everybody's coming for.
Yeah. The reaction from, we'll call them the fans, spectators, has been the highest I've ever seen at any event I've ever ran.
Absolutely.
There are people from Australia, European countries, Montana, which I very rarely get anyone from Montana to come to any event. The amount of people who have reached out and asked me, what is the earliest we can come into camp? It's nuts. So that's really encouraging to know that many people, I've struck a nerve with people.
Oh, dude. Yes.
It's awesome. It's really awesome.
So do we have enough parking? Because that's something I know that's been on your mind, and that's something that's been on some of these riders' minds too.
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess we'll find out. We expanded, and I'm pretty confident in parking the race crowd.
I do think that this is going to be the biggest number of racers all year too, though, because I think that there's a lot of guys that are bringing guys with them, and people are trying to race this event because the legends are going to be there. I think you're going to have the biggest numbers by a lot of the season so far.
I totally agree. Like I spoke with an old buddy of mine tonight, Brandon Robinson, who raced back in, early 2010, 11, 12, 13. And he was asking me about if I come in and camp on, Friday, will I get a spot? And I'm like, I said, I don't know, man. And then it turned into, I'm thinking about racing. I'm looking for a quad. And so that's a perfect example. If he did find something to borrow or rent or buy or whatever, you got a guy who hasn't raced amateur wise in probably 12 years ish, maybe less, but bringing people like that who used to race out of the woodwork. So, yeah, I think we'll probably see about 100 entries back.
Oh, I think so. I think it's going to be even more than that, just based on the messages I'm getting, the people I'm hearing from, the interviews, again, that are ahead of the people that are coming with and all this stuff, the riders are bringing with them, all these things. So I think it's going to be so big, man. I think it's going to be a sea of people. I think it's going to be standing room only in the spectator area. I think it's going to be like nothing we've seen in a long time.
I actually am developing / have started developing a parking plan, which I normally do anyway for the racers and the pros and pro-ams, pro sport and WMX area. But I'm also creating parking zones for spectators and also spectators that are going to camp. So we're taking it fairly seriously. I'm reserving a much larger chunk of real estate for spectator parking on Saturday. And we actually have a parking crew that's going to park spectators Saturday.
Awesome. Good call.
I even have zones as far up as my house, above my house. Behind my yard, the edges of the driveways.
That's what I was already thinking. I was thinking, I'm just going to park in Jeremy's yard.
Yeah, it's pretty much a good spot. Yeah. Honestly, it could come to that. And if it does, it does.
That's the best case scenario if it does, Jeremy.
Yeah. Now, we'll see. I don't want to say yes or no on whether we have enough or don't.
Well, like I said, that's a good problem to have.
But if you really think about it, the peak is Saturday. So we just got to find a way to absorb the peak and the wave. And then, once racing winds down and autographs wind down, people start to filter out. So just being able to absorb Saturday is the key.
Gonna be so big. I just can't wait to see this thing, man. I know we've seen some pictures. You referenced some guys that have been there, all those things. So which riders have spun some laps there in the last, couple weeks, month or whatever? I know Shane Hitt's been there. I think was Natalie there at some point.
Yep. John was here once last Sunday. Chris Bithell has actually been here on a dirt bike and a quad. First weekend he came, he rode a dirt bike, and then they brought out the TRX CRF hybrid. He rode it last Sunday. He looked pretty good. I would say Shane's probably got the most seat time. He's been here like 3 times.
Yeah, and he's trying to undersell the fact that he's not done much riding.
I guess I don't know totally how much riding, but I know he's got the most seat time.
well, if you listen to any of the other guys, they say, yeah, that's Shane. He'll never change. He'll never shoot you straight.
I honestly, unless I'm totally brain farting right now, I think those are the only 3.
Okay. So then separate question, Jeremy.
Okay.
Now you obviously haven't seen many of these guys ride, but you're absorbing some of the conversations with these guys and you've had more conversations with them than most people. And you're seeing some of the videos and stuff. So you're the only person on this episode, maybe other than Nick Gennusa, who I'm going to ask for, maybe expectations or whatever, because it's very hard to predict, right? Like we haven't seen these guys ride. Most of them haven't ridden much or at all. So it's very hard to give any kind of prediction. I think that John Natale comes in as the favorite. I think that that's the general consensus because he's been riding. He raced any ATV. We saw him at the Huevos race a couple years ago. He's ripping all those things. Yeah. I do think that Dustin Wimmer comes in as another favorite for me. The bit that I've talked to that camp is that he's really moving. And I think, I have a gut feeling, and I'm not even going to give out like a podium prediction or anything, but I think that there's going to be another guy that isn't on the radar. That's maybe not a former champion or something like that. And is going to surprise some people. I really feel that way. I think somebody's got, whether it's David Haagsma or a Nick Denoble, like somebody like that is gonna come out and be really strong. Got any gut feelings as the conversation kind of goes there as we finish up?
If I were to pick a guy who is, I feel like he's super. He was super fast. He probably still is super fast, and he's in pretty good look. He's pretty good shape. At least seems like he is. Richard Pelchat. I think he'll surprise a lot of people.
Agreed.
He's still seems like, from what I understand, he's still really, really, which all these guys are really fast. But I think Richard might get a little, what do you call, undersold or not seriously. I don't know why that is. He was fast back in the day, and I think he's fast now.
I think that's something that Billy and I outlined on last week's episode was the fact that this guy is legit. I raced him just a couple years ago, and he was, fast as could be. Like, I'm definitely not sleeping on the guy. I think that he's going to be really good too. Oh. So it's going to be fun, man. Like I said, that's what's in store. Talking to the listeners here, that's what's in store for this preview show, because you can't preview what to expect. You can't preview, these are the favorites. This is what's going to happen. Right. All these things. It's more getting a glimpse into how these guys feel about it, hearing the excitement in their voices and, kind of hearing about what they're riding, how much riding time they've had coming in, what's the prep like, all these things. But I just can't wait to see these guys at the racetrack. Credit to you, Jeremy, for putting together this event that people are going to remember for forever. They still talk about the Legends event, at Astabula in 2000, I think. And, obviously there was a more recent one as well. But, I think that this is something that's just going to live on for the longest time. And I'm trying to appreciate and take in and kind of boost up as much as I can this whole thing. And then on top of it all, we have the potential clinching of another championship for Joel Hetrick on the weekend too. So like there's a lot going on, man. I just
That's
can't wait.
Super interesting to me. I think we've had this potentially, I guess, if he locks it up, this will be the 3rd time we've seen somebody lock up a title at our track, which is kind of interesting because we've only been the last round once. So I don't know. That's kind of a fascinating fact to me. I don't know why.
only the Legends race could, overshadow Joel Hetrick possibly clinching another title, keeping the, perfect season very close to, the very end there there's only 4 motos to go now. At the end of your event, there'll be only 2 motos for the pro class. So going to be awesome, man. But I can't thank you enough. Thanks for all your hard work and pulling this whole thing together. Thanks for the opportunity for me to be back in the tower again and on the mic, man. I'm just over the moon.
We got you new antennas for the mics, new FM transmitter, 12 new speakers. We revamped pretty much the whole system for Cody Jam.
I don't know about that, man, but we may do with what we had last year, but it's going to be awesome to be able to rotate around the whole racetrack and see it all instead of just, speaking in one direction. But no, Jeremy, credit to you again. I think that just speaks to the fact that you're trying to pull out all the stops for this thing to make every part of it be perfect. And like I said, I think it's the event of the decade. I can't wait. So again, I just want to thank you on behalf of the whole ATV racing community for all your hard work. Yeah, thanks for your time tonight, being a part of this thing. And I guess we'll see you in about a week's time, man. I can't wait.
You are welcome. Thanks for having me on. I'll see you, next weekend.
Thanks for everything, Jeremy. Keep your sanity over the next 7 days here.
I'll try.
All right, guys, Briarcliff Legends Race 2024 preview. And I'm sitting with the back-to-back champ 2006, 2007. Of course, I'm here with Joe Byrd and Birdman Legends Race 2024. How much thought, how much convincing, what did it take to get you to sign up for this thing? Were you in right away from the very start, or did it take some coaxing and some thought on if you really wanted to do this or not?
Well, it took some coaching, and actually, I wasn't even planning on doing it. When I first heard about it, what it was 3 months ago, I was like, man, that sounds cool. I got on a scale. I think I weighed 277 pounds. I'm like, holy crap. Now, I want to say it's all muscle, but it wasn't. I was fat ass, So eating too many not Twinkies, but eating too many donuts and loving the real food, So, and honestly, I got on a scale with my riding gear. I couldn't put it on, of course. It was way too small. I looked at Pillsbury Doughboy. And I looked at my wife. I said, I'm 300 pounds with my gear in my hand. I can't ride a foal this way. So I said, you know what? I'd love to do this race. And Jeremy Osborn kept calling me and kept asking me, are you going to do it? You going to do it? You going to do it? And I said, no, I can't. First, my flying schedule out in the way and other business are going on. It's like, I'd love to do it, but I can't right now, And so I got in the gym, started eating right and working out. I lost 40 pounds and I'm still, 236 this morning, which is overweight, but not as a normal person, I guess. But as a racer, I always race about 210 pounds. Okay. So I'm still 25 pounds overweight, but I can squeeze into my riding gear. So after I squeezed in my riding gear, I was like, you know what? The zipper's not breaking, so I think I can race. So I went up there, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago. I rode a stop bike, I think, once a week a couple times. And I rode my good practice bike yesterday. Like, oh, my God, my arm's about to fall off. I might get an arm pump in the first lap. I can't only hang on to this thing. So I didn't commit until I told him about 2 weeks ago I was going to do it. And he said he's going to put out the names. I said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So it's just going to be fun, I'm not planning on going to win. I'm not going to get last place. I'll tell you that.
There you go, man. Well, hey, that's really cool. Good for you. More good things coming from it than just the race itself, right? Some motivation, making some better choices right, or whatever, right?
Yeah. So, and I told my wife, I said, I want to do this, get back in shape. I'm not going to get back out of shape. I've always been in good shape. And so, I did lift a lot of heavy weights when I got done racing. So, I just enjoy doing it. And you cannot do that race. All my schools I teach, and you can no weights. So, but I was fat. I wasn't just all muscle. We have to be honest about that. So, but I want to do it just to get back in shape. I love riding. I still do some riding schools. And I just did believe it or not, a flat track TT school this past weekend in Wisconsin.
Yeah, you were just down the road from me up here.
Yeah, so I had a ball doing that. Some of the guys there go, do you know how to ride TT? I'm like, eh. And it was a good time. So, and just, just to see everybody, all the racers that are currently racing, all the old racers, and just, the camaraderie and just BS with everybody. I think I mentioned earlier, I talked to Shane Hitt, and, he's riding some, and he said, you know what? Some of these guys are really taking it serious. Like, they're really wanting to win. He goes, I think if anybody's got calluses in their hands, they don't need a race. So I said, you know what? You're probably right. So I don't know. It's going to be there's some people that are a lot of legends going to this thing, and some race winners, and some guys that's just been I think there's a cross country rider or two coming. So
yep, you're right.
Just some names, whether they ever won a championship or a race win. They're just names. Of course, I know everybody on the list, but there's just names that have been out there. I think Dana Creek is going to be there. Mm-hmm. He didn't win anything in the pro class, but he's a legend with all the freestyle stuff and just the way, he's the Huevos guy, and just to seeing all these guys. And we saw some of them at the Wes Miller's Huevos event, a year and a half, 2 years ago, when it was, and that was cool. We had a good time doing that. I think I got dead last in a go-kart race, but just to see all those guys, and see Wes, and it was fun. And this is going to be cool too, so. And he just told us today, I was concerned. So the other guys, some of the guys I know, Shane went to there and rented a track or rode a track. And some of these guys been riding that track. And, and at first he told us, we're going to have one qualifying practice at 9:15 Saturday morning. That's it. I'm like, man, first I ain't rode much. And I get like about 5 or 6 laps, maybe 7 laps. And we're qualifying. I'm like, oh, crap. So I'm like, okay, but as long as it's even for everybody, it's all that matters. Everybody's the same. Let's do it. And he told me today, he literally on the way home, he goes, I changed my mind. We're going to have 2 practices Friday for the Legends and 1 at 8 o'clock, I think, or the third practice group Saturday morning, and then our qualifiers. So that makes me feel a little bit better. So, of course, I can't ride the whole practice section because I'll be tired of the race. So, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. I've got a few of my old buddies and mechanics. They help me get the bikes together. I've got 2 of the old race bikes down at the Banshee channel. You ever see him on Instagram? He's got 100 quads and 3-wheelers. He's helping me out with restoring a couple. A couple of old mechanics are going to go to the race with me and prep. And then a friend of mine helped me get the practice bike going. These bikes have been setting for a while. I've got one bike I designate for the school bike. It's got the electric start on it, the whole 9 yards. It's easy, so it's just a stock bike, with some shocks on it, but I got the good bikes back out, and even the race bike, one of the old race bikes. I think the bike I raced 2017 on, we got it back out. It was at the Ford, actually Bryce Ford's house. We got it back from them. They were good enough to let me get that one back, and we had to prep it and just setting for a while. All this little stuff, carbs gummed up, this, that, and the other, just all the little stuff. Well, nothing wrong with all the little things it took. So just to do this one race, man, it's been so many moving parts over the last couple of weeks, getting bikes ready, figuring out how we get to the event, who all was going to the event, and trying to ride and train. And my wife goes, well, I don't miss all this. This is a full-time job. I'm like, you got it right. It's a full-time job being a racer. Even if you're in an A-class, prime class, if you're going to do it right, it's a full-time job.
No doubt. No doubt. You hit the nail on the head there. So who's heading to the race to wrench for you, Joe?
Wade Bethke's going to be one of the wrenches. And Curtis Evelo, he's from Montana. I think he won one of your fantasy things. He's going to be there. Him and his son are going to be there. They're going to be wrenching for me. I've got a guy help me drive to the races.
Nice.
With my wife will be there, mom, dad, that group. And Luke and Parker Guam, they're going to let me pit with them in their rig. So they're going to bring the rig there for me and have something. I sold my rig. Didn't need it. So we're going to be pitting with them. So we got a nice little group together. I've tried to get out. I was looking for riding gear, but I was like, you know what? If I can't fit my riding gear, I ain't racing. So I may be looking like a Pillsbury Doughboy, but at least I got my old riding gear back on, and I've got to come across some tires. I got tires here, just back to when I used to race, but how it is. They're 6 years old or maybe 7 years old. They're old. I'm trying to come across a set of tires. I got everything else, fuel. Actually, was gracious enough to I sent the shocks to them. They serviced them for me, got them ready to go. So nice. I think the bikes are ready, way more than I am. So I'm just going to have fun. I think if I can get a decent start, I don't know if it's going to be me, Natalie, Wimmer, Upperman, who's going to pull the whole shot. But if my anchor, my weight may be back, if I hit them in the first turn, they're going to fall off. So I'm so much heavier. So we're going to have fun, man. I can't wait to see everybody. And I know, man, I've got so many people that say they're coming, and people that haven't even raced or been to a race in 5, 6, 7, 10 years just coming to watch. I bet through my spreading the word and everything, I bet I'm bringing another 250, 260 guys just to come watch this thing. I think it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be crazy, man. I think it's going to be like, I can't even imagine. Like I was telling somebody last night that Jeremy does such a great job with the way he promotes the event that last year he had, and obviously it wasn't a Legends race, but his event alone had huge numbers of spectators. Yeah. And now when you add all you guys to the mix and all this hoopla for the Legends race, man, I think it's going to be standing room only. So it's going to be really cool. It's going to be like years ago, how it was way back.
I think so. And then, somebody was saying something about the track. I'm like, well, we raced this track. I think I raced it like 2015 or something.
Yeah, you would have raced it then. Yep.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. And I don't remember this jump called Bigfoot. I mean, somebody asked me yesterday, something like, you can jump Bigfoot? I'm like, what's Bigfoot? I don't know. It's a big jump. You hit fourth gear pin. I said, then I'm not jumping it. So if it's fourth gear pin, no, I'll tell you right now, I ain't jumping it. So, and I think the count on the people he released was like, I don't know, 24 or 5 people. And there's already several people signed up since then. I don't doubt, honestly, Cody, if there's not 30 riders, and I don't think you're going to see anybody home. I think it'll just be in a start position. So there'll probably 2 rows in this thing to start this race.
Yep. I think you're exactly right. It's going to be super exciting. I can't wait, Joe. It's going to be the coolest thing.
I know Mike Walsh and Duncan about this. They said all you testosterone fire breathing dragons are all saying, no, we don't want to go win. We're going to just be chilled out. He goes, when you put those helmets on, that gate drops, you're all going to be stupid for the first lap. I was like, you know what? You're probably right.
Yeah, no doubt. It's all going to come back to you for a moment. And then it's going to be like, oh yeah, wait, this isn't like it used to be.
Right. 2 laps in, like, okay, now I'm hurting. I'm sore. Yeah, I'm already sore thinking about it, you know?
I love it, Joe. Well, you kind of gave us the whole lowdown on your prep, what you're riding, who's going to be there, expectations, all those things. I'll end it with this. Do you have anybody that you're most stoked to line up with or see on the gate with you one last time here?
Well, you know, I do. I would love to pull a whole shot on all those guys, especially as big as I am right now. And I got some paybacks. No, I'm just kidding. I love lining up against Italia and Doug Gust and of course, Shane Hitt, he likes to run that mouth, you know, like always. He ain't changed a bit, you know, I love him to death. But, you know, and I know all the guys. Cory Ellis is going to be there, you know, and I did talk to smack with Dustin Wimmer when it first came out. I said, you know what, Dustin? I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to race it, but if I do race it, I'm winning. I'm tired of you kicking my ass. So he goes, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to win. If I'm racing, better expect me to win. He goes, okay. So,
sounds like Dustin.
It's fun talking a little smack.
Of course.
Are you going to be there? I guess you're going to be there, right?
Oh yeah. Heck yeah, we're going to be there. Yeah. I'm helping announce the event, so it should be,
cool.
Should be cool. But yeah, I'm jacked to be there and watch this thing play out and kind of be a part of it and all those things. It's going to be really cool. I've been telling everybody, man, this is like once in a lifetime. You know, we haven't seen anything like this in the motocross side of things in 20 plus years I've been around. And yeah, I don't know that we're going to see this.
Kudos again. And the thing is that this is once in a lifetime. Even if I have it again, will everybody still go? Probably not. This is like you're drawing everybody out of the hat. We try to get Gary Ditton to go, and Rodney Gentry. They were the first 2, the pioneers of it,
yes.
and just say be the grand marshal. You know, I think they were talking to Jeremiah Jones. Just ride around on the hot lap, the parade, like you're the pace car.
Yep.
Just get all the guys there. You know, bring Jimmy White back on his Ducati 3-wheeler, bring Marty Hart back on his 250. We've got those access to them, you know, and just smell the 2-stroke oil, see the era, you know, this whole thing. Cause I've been there since 86 when it started, you know, basically.
Amazing.
Just to see all that, you know, and I still got 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers and all this stuff. This bike right behind me, I won this bike with my very first championship. This quad over here, and I'm not racing my championship quad. I won my second championship on this quad. This quad has 2 races on it. It's still got all the fancy shocks on it and everything. You just can't get no more. And this quad over here, I won my last race on it. So I kept all those. And I got one downstairs. I pulled my last hole shot on. So I try to keep all these quads. It means something to me, you know. Back in the day, you know, we used to get cool trophies. This is my championship trophy right here.
That's what I think is so cool, right, Joe? For so many people, even the kids nowadays that maybe weren't around back then, but for most of us that are my age, that were fanatics about the sport when you guys were in your heyday,
right?
This is going to bring back so many nostalgic vibes, and it's going to be so cool.
The reason why you guys all wanted to do it, right?
Exactly. And to say it's once in a lifetime, like Billy Cottage on our show last week had said kind of the same thing. But when I was a kid and I was going to the Joe Byrd riding school and I was going to your house and I was going to see you, like somebody that I idolized, like in the flesh, man, it felt like I was living a dream and it just felt so big back then. And I think for one weekend in time in current day ATV motocross, we're going to have that big giant feel again. And I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. You know, I'm going to feel same way, you know, especially some of the guys that race before me, you know, that show up. And even the guys I race with, you know, these guys are all legends, you know. All these some guys I named off and all the guys, because it shows you the guys that, you know, I guess quote unquote legends, that what they've won. Those guys are, I don't care who you think's the best, they were all the best at one time.
Yes.
And they're still the best. It's just, hey, some people didn't win a different path in life. Some are crop dusting. I'm flying planes. This guy's doing demolition. This guy's selling boats. So you can't compare what's happening in 10 days to what everybody did in their era, you know, because everybody on that gate's a badass. You know what I mean? So it's just going to be fun to be there. And there's going to be a winner, of course, but hats off whoever to win. I'm going to, everybody's going to shake his hand. Hey, you're still a badass, whoever it is. So, but, they always say, hey, who's faster back, because back in the day, the best racers, I can't say the best racer, but the biggest paying racers, the biggest era of racing was 2004 to 11, that neighborhood there, and you're talking about making rock star, maybe so, but Hedrick and Wiener were both in that era too. So people keep forgetting that, Hedrick started in 2010, in the pro class. So I remember racing his butt for several years, and Wiener was still winning back then. So, are they better than we were then? They're just, it's just a different era,
Different era.
Could Hedrick go back? Hedrick go back and get any of these quads I just showed you and win today. It ain't because he's on the Yamaha. It ain't because he's on the Honda. It's because he's Joe Hedrick. That's why he's winning. And Chad Weeney can still win. Dustin Wimmer can still go out and train his butt off and probably still podium, So it's the era and the passion and the drive you have. You can't say who's faster or slower. You can go back to the 80s and say, it's what you have in front of you. The dedication and then the heart and soul. It's, they're all winners. Even some of these guys that are going that aren't legends, they're still winners, or they wouldn't even be thought of to be invited,
Of course. Yeah. I think we kind of look at it and there's 13 or 14 race winners. And then other guys, obviously, they got podiums and stuff like that, top fives, whatever. So going to be awesome, man. Well, I took enough of your time. I can't freaking wait for 10 days from now. Can't wait to see you there, and safe travels. Obviously best of luck. We'll see you there. And man, I'm stoked for this thing. And I think all the listeners listening to all the excitement in your voice, Joe, we're more excited than we were coming in.
Before the race, gonna be fun, talking smack. Of course, the race, I'll just an absolute blast. And afterwards, all the lies will tell why we didn't win, So I just can't wait. And I know you do a fantastic job announcing. I can't wait to hear that. And it's going to be great, Do we know if it's going to be aired on like Facebook Live, or is anybody going to be able to watch this of any kind, or do you know?
I don't know for sure yet. I know it's called Rated MX. Rated MX. Okay. Michelle Stillo does live stuff on Facebook, so I would sure think that if nothing else, she'll have it live. But I'll do a little digging. Okay. By the time this episode comes out, I'll have more info on if we're going to have a live stream somewhere. Yeah,
live stream, or you just have something. There's a way to do it because so many people want to see this that just can't make it, and it's just going to be so much fun. I think it's going to be the biggest turnout of the year,
Oh, by a mile. No doubt, by a mile. Yeah, so I agree. So yeah, like I said, Michelle does an awesome job, Rated MX on Facebook, but we'll see if we can get any details on something more than that. But again, Joe, thanks so much, and train your tail off the next week or so here. Start pushing that quad around the track, doing laps, pushing that thing. And
right.
We'll see you next week, pal.
All right, buddy. Hey, appreciate me having me on, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Thanks so much, Joe.
All right, bye-bye.
We'll get right back to the show, but now a word from our sponsors. And thank you for listening to these ads. Without these great companies, none of this would be possible. Show your support for the people who support us. The official tire choice of Digging Deep, CST tires are the choice of ATV racing's elite on the track, in the woods, and every other terrain. CST tires swept the ATV racing world in 2022 as Joel Hetrick, Bryson Neal, and Bo Barron rode their Pulse MXR and Pulse HT tires to an ATV Pro Motocross title, GNCC XC1 Pro title, and 10th ATV Pro Works Racing title, respectively. Led by champion Joel Hetrick and podium contenders Bryce Ford, Jeffrey Rastrelli, and Nick Gennusa, CST's Pulse MXR tire is the most trusted tire in ATV motocross today. Available in soft and standard compounds, the Pulse MXR offers the highest level of traction, most predictable cornering, and superior wear characteristics when compared to the competition. And did I mention they have a contingency program as well? Visit shop.csttires.com to join the CST takeover today, or prepare to be beat by someone who did. The best of the best choose CST. Do you? You know we're Team Blue Crew here at the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, as the Yamaha YFZ450R is the official ATV of Digging Deep. In a move started by 8-time ATVMX Pro Class National Champion Chad Wienen, who with his next championship will become the winningest champion in ATV motocross history, we are living in ATV racing's YFZ450R era. Alongside Wienen, 7-time GNCC XC1 Pro ATV National Champion Walker Fowler welcomed a pair of new champions to the Yamaha Champions Club, as the podium-proven Yamaha YFZ450R proved to be the winning choice for Joel Hetrick and Bryson Neal. This unprecedented success for the YFZ450R, its unrivaled quality and performance, and the clear fact that Yamaha is the leading OEM supporter of ATV racing has resulted in a complete Yamaha takeover within the sport quad market. Evident by the continuation of Yamaha's Blue Crew Racer Support Program, Yamaha riders will once again cash in on payout and prize opportunities in 2023, including a chance to win a brand new YFZ450R. For more info, head over to YamahaBlueCrew.com. Follow Yamaha Outdoors as well as the new Blue Crew official channel on social media, and check out Yamaha's full proven off-road lineup at YamahaOutdoors.com today. SSI Decals, your way. SSI Decals sets the standard with the best looking decals, graphics kits, and vinyl wraps in the industry. Established in 1947, SSI took shape as an offshoot of their parent company by doing a little work for local pro Chad Wienen. Nearly 2 decades later, and fueled by a passion for ATVs, the company has flourished into one of ATV Moto's most recognized brands. From ATV Motocross, SSI has expanded into graphics and design work for top racers in GNCC, Works Racing, Pro Motocross and Supercross, off-road, and more, headlined by 8-time world champion top fuel drag racer Clay Millican. Whether your project is big or small, SSI Decals will make your identity stick. Get started today at ssidecals.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 for 10% off at checkout. Things are about to get sick. The Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast is brought to you in part by DID and their wide range of championship-winning chains. From the street to the track and everywhere in between, DID chains are designed to give you the optimal riding experience with great performance and increased chain life. Consistent to the core, pick up your box of reliability today. DID, what drives you?
We are proud to be partnered with Namura Technologies. For over 20 years, Namura has pushed the limit of value and reliability in the ATV and side-by-side market. Covering more applications than anyone in the industry, Namura's full line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, and industry-leading top-end repair kits and more have led to higher overall engine performance for your machine. Visit your local dealer or online at www.namura.com and follow along on Instagram for giveaways and exciting new products in 2023. Namura Technologies, your one-stop shop engine component supplier. We are pleased to be partnered with Bronco ATV and UTV Components. Bronco has been an industry leader in replacement hard parts and accessories for all makes and models for over 15 years. With a catalog that includes a full line of electrical components, engine internals and cylinders, shock and suspension parts, winches, clutch kits, valves, carb kits, bearing kits, and drive chain parts, Bronco is your hard parts source for whatever you need, for whatever you ride. Available exclusively through distributors around the world, visit your local dealer or online at broncoatv.com.
For over 150 years, Valvoline has been dedicated to constant improvement and innovation across all disciplines of racing. As a proud member of Team Valvoline for nearly a decade, I have witnessed their unwavering commitment to pushing the boundaries of performance. Valvoline has sponsored some of the greatest names in motorsports, solidifying their position as a powerhouse within the industry. Being a part of this historically great team has been an incredible privilege. When it comes to my equipment, whether it's my daily commuting vehicles, race quads, or anything in between, I trust nothing but Valvoline. Their range of products and lubricants consistently deliver increased horsepower, durability, and engine life. I'm excited to announce Valvoline's breakthrough in performance, Valvoline Ultimate Power Sports. With up to 8 times stronger rust protection and 50% better wear protection, this cutting-edge formula ensures your ATV's engine runs smoother and longer for the ultimate ride. Tackle rugged terrains with confidence knowing your ATV's engine is equipped with the best protection available. Ready to experience the next level of performance? Head over to shop.valvolineglobal.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 at checkout to unlock an exclusive 10% off on your purchase. Don't miss out on this limited time offer to enhance your ATV's performance with Valvoline's Ultimate Power Sports engine oil. All right, guys. So the preview of this legendary event continues. Obviously, Briarcliff 2024 Legends Race. Here with Dustin Wimmer, 2008, 2009 back-to-back champion. And Dustin, I think of all of the people that it's surreal, like the most surreal for me to see doing this thing. I don't know that I ever saw I was going to see Dustin Wimmer back on an ATV, back doing this thing, the whole deal. It's been, I think it was a decade plus, I think. And to see this whole thing come together, man, pretty legendary.
Yeah, it's definitely been a fun ride, getting back out there and getting back on the bike. It's been roughly, 11 years since I even put my leg over a race quad. So it's been a great time. Sure.
And it's been pretty cool too. Like when we hopped on this call, Dustin, to see you smiling about it already right away, talking about riding your quad, talking about this race, man. I don't know that, it takes a little bit to pull some emotion out of you, Dustin, but I'm glad that this Legends race is doing that. So I'm stoked about that. And we also have your buddy here, Jeff Scharf, right? And he was one of the guys really pushing to, you to do this, I think. So would it have happened without Jeff?
It might have, between him and my wife, they definitely thought it'd be good for me to get back out there and ride a little bit and get back to what I used to do a little bit and kind of, I'm excited to show my kids that never see me really ride on a track or be at any type of, grand facility to ride, and excited to do that.
Heck yeah, to show your kids, dad was a bad dude. This is a pretty awesome thing. So, Jeff, want to get you in here as well, because I know that you and I chatted in the spring, kind of when this whole thing was first coming together, and you had a lot of emotion about this happening, a lot of emotion about Dustin getting back on the quad, being a part of this. Obviously, he's as legendary as anybody involved in this thing. So kind of outline those emotions for me and your feelings towards all of this.
Yeah, that's well put. Definitely, seeing your buddy best in the world, that's something. Achieving great goals, and abruptly it coming to an end so fast. I think over the years, Dustin's, I'm going to not speak for him, he's on the call, but, what I felt is the love-hate relationship between ATV racing kind of occurred. Can only imagine working your whole life to achieve something so big and you get it, and then kind of gets taken away from you relatively quick. But, there's a whole nother side that we could save for another interview, but the perseverance of a champion, I got to see it as his friend. I got to see him fight through different challenges other than ATV racing. So, getting him back on the quad, it took us getting in the garage together. We used to do a lot of powder coating projects. So he picked up a Honda Cub, and we started working on that together and talking, and took a little while. And then, like Dustin said, with his wife as well, pushing him between the both of us, we got him to commit to this. And I can tell the fans it's been fantastic. New people we met, Nick Gennusa, who's been fantastic in supporting us. His parents, phenomenal people. The Facility 15 track has been excellent for Dustin to really knock the cobwebs off, as long as Spader's been there a lot too. So meeting new friends, new people, people that aren't race fans, and you're listening to this, you meet a lot of amazing people along the way. I've kept all of Dustin's factory Suzuki race team family close to my heart. So when this was, lining up, I said to Dustin, man, it's one phone call away. We can have the whole team back on the track. So I'll let you take over a little bit, because I can talk about my friend all day.
Pretty awesome, man. And, like I said, a lot of emotion for you about this whole thing, because for Dustin, and this is a conversation you and I had, and a conversation Dustin and I had back when we were on the show the first time around, but it was kind of like he was there, he was the champion, he was the man. And then, there was 1 year at any ATV, but it was basically gone. And it's pretty cool. There's people that are going to be at this event that have never seen the dude ride, Dustin. And then there's going to be guys like me who worship Dustin when he was younger and, when he was the guy, and it's going to be pretty cool for all of us. So it's going to be a really special thing. So Dustin, I don't know if this was this quad in the rafters or wherever you had it, what was the emotions when when you're firing this thing up, you get it down, you fire this thing up or whatever for the first time? Like, what was that feeling like? Because you had to feel like that thing was never going to get started again. And now here we are, you're going to race this damn thing.
Yeah, I definitely never thought I was going to be going back on a full blown track and riding against some, legit riders, like, the guys I'm going to be racing against here. And it was a cool experience. Pull it down and, go over it and have Glenn, my old mechanic, kind of go through the engine a little bit and make sure everything was freshened up and all safe to go. And, it's been a fun experience for sure. Me and Jeff and Nick and all those guys have had a good time riding together. That's for sure.
Got to be pretty cool to think, this was such a huge part of your life for so long. And now, I know it's just for one event, but it's kind of like we're doing all this, all over again, kind of like old times. So what about parts and stuff? Like I'm assuming you didn't have everything you needed. So did you have to start scraping stuff together and searching for Suzuki parts and stuff like that? Or how did that all work out?
Yeah, I still have a little bit of a stash of stuff from back in the day. Okay. I definitely had some old sponsors help out with some, tires and rims and, rebuilding shocks, Glenn going through a motor. This whole thing with talking to Glenn actually ended up getting one of my old championships bike back. He sold it to a person down in North Carolina, and they had an agreement that if he ever sold it, it would, go back to Glenn or possibly myself. And
Okay.
Jeff ended up actually picking that bike up and bringing it back for me. So I actually got one of my 2008 championship bikes back. So that's a cool little story that came along the way with this, venture.
Hell yeah. I haven't, more good things coming from this event. That's a pretty cool thing. So we've referenced the Gennusa thing, riding at Gennusa's place, riding with Spader, all that stuff. How quickly did it come back? Like, take me through the early days of you getting back on a four-wheeler. Like, did you, obviously you're not going to feel quite like yourself, but did it come back pretty fast? Was it muscle memory that was still there?
Yeah. The first day, definitely was pretty rusty. It came back probably a little quicker than honestly I thought. He has a pretty sandy track where I was riding, and probably not my forte, I would say. I don't excel at sand tracks, but
okay.
After the first day, I was pretty damn sore for 2 to 3 days afterwards, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be like this for the next couple of times I ride. And then it wasn't too bad, but every time I went, it felt more comfortable, and just going through the motions and getting that, like you said, muscle memory back, definitely every time was an improvement for sure.
Well, the good news is that Briarcliff is about as hard packed as it gets, and I'm expecting that patented Dustin Wimmer style to come out on the hard pack track here at Briarcliff. So, Jeff, what about from your perspective, seeing Dustin? Because I think you were at these practice days, right? So, or at least some of them maybe early on. So, what was the emotions like, and what did you see? Kind of report back to me as if Dustin wasn't here. Like, what was it like? If you're telling the fans what it's been like to see Dustin back on the track, what we should expect at the racetrack, what do you got to tell me there?
Yeah, well, though he's my good friend, I am a fan of him. So coming from a fan's perspective, be honest, I teared up a little bit. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to see it again, to say the least. So it was emotional for me. Day one was. Day two, when we went back, saw the progression right away. Just him getting more comfortable on the bike, starting to feel more comfortable in the air. You can see him starting to lean the quad, just coming to the Dustin we all remember. Mm-hmm. Corner speed was picking up, I would say, the third practice in. Nick really got his corner speed up. We were pushing him on that. His in and exit speed improved. Flying over the whoops, smooth as can be over the whoops, like you all remember. And then by day 4, I think, Nick owning the track has the fastest lap time of a 1:39, and Dustin got down to a 1:42. And believe me, there's more in that tank of his than he was showing you that day. It's a sandy tank, and he's already set one of the fastest times at that place. So
it's pretty impressive. Just
improving every time he's out there and putting in strong, hard motos. So, yeah, first day emotional. The rest of it's been a blast. Got to spend it with his son out there. Dustin said his son's never seen him ride. So just to experience Asher's excitement, seeing his father, looking at his face, that's precious to me as well. So I got it on video for Dustin, and this was, it's been amazing. It really has.
That's amazing. It's got to feel like, I know from my perspective as a super fan, obviously my whole life. And then, I'm sure for so many of the listeners here, it's so surreal. It's like a dream, to think that we're going to be able to see so many of our favorite pros ever back on the racetrack, back doing their thing. So Dustin, as we kind of wind down here and get ready for this thing, give me a glimpse or kind of a snapshot into your expectations, your goals. Like, what are you thinking? I mean, I know everybody's saying that, having fun is the most important thing. And it is, but I'm sure, you're as gnarly a competitor as there's about ever been at this thing. So goals, expectations, what do you got to share with me?
Yeah. Obviously I'm just going to go out there and have fun. Try not to put too much pressure on myself, definitely just trying to go have fun and, hopefully I'll be on the podium and do the best we can.
I think you come in with about as much prep as anybody. And yeah, I have high expectations for you, pal.
You know what they say, Cody, actions speak louder than words. So we got several videos on the practice track. I'm not putting any pressure on my buddy, but, he did his due diligence, his confidence there, want all these guys to be safe. And I think the fans are going to get a well-prepared Dustin Wimmer.
Well, that's all we want. And speaking to both you, Dustin, and you, Jeff, I knew Dustin wasn't going to come on here. I know Dustin well enough to know he wasn't going to come on here and talk himself up. Right. So really cool. Like I said, my biggest takeaway from this is to sit here and see Dustin smiling about the races, to see you as excited as you are, Dustin, to see the whole crew. It sounds like everybody's stoked for this thing, and that's really exciting. So I can't wait for it. And again, some of my most excitement for this whole thing is to see you, Dustin, back on the racetrack doing your thing, pal. So it was kind of like you referenced, Jeff. It was kind of like this thing just got unplugged from the wall and we didn't see an ending to it. And to just get maybe even one last exclamation mark, no matter what happens, just to see you back at the races, man. I can't wait, Dustin. So Jeff, I know you have one more thing you want to touch on. You got some other exciting things you're bringing to this Briarcliff race, and some stuff that you want to share, some equipment stuff that is basically your whole passion. Briefly give the listeners what they can expect at this race from you. What do you have in store for them?
Well, my background is in the medical field. I specialize in medical devices, a lot of devices that aren't known by a lot of humans or mankind per se. Weight-bearing technologies of the foot and ankle, weight-bearing knee, 3D studies. And one thing I just recently volunteered, Supercross hasn't been in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for 44 years. And I was able to bring the same technology that I'll be bringing to Briarcliff MX Park for you all. God forbid, hopefully no one ever needs it. But if you all need it, I want to take good care of you and know, that, what's wrong with you. If we have to send you to the hospital, God forbid, or anything of the sort. The last thing athletes like to hear about is injuries. That's one thing I texted to you. But, when you do get them, and we all get them as athletes or even just regular humans walking this earth, we get these types of injuries. And then what do we do about it? So knowledge is power. And what I do is I do a lot of free consulting. I worked with, I'm not going to drop any names, but a lot of likes of the world, some MMA characters, Supercross. My recent one I can talk about is I volunteered this system at the Supercross event in Philadelphia. And the owner, Tom Carson, who actually owns the Alpine Star medical rig, ex-rider, I saw him walking around with a really injured foot. Though I didn't use the technology I brought him that day, he needed more advanced stuff, which was my 3D weight-bearing imaging modality. Eventually got Tom to come meet me and the doctor, and we took a weight-bearing scan. Within 17 seconds, I diagnosed him with a Jones fracture. And Tom Carson had been to 4 doctors, orthopedics, podiatrists, and you might wonder how the guy in a pole barn was able to figure him out. Well, this is why we need to do another segment on this. We'll leave it at that now, but stop by, learn about this technology. I know you guys all don't like to get hurt, but when you do, we need a plan. I'm also a free consultant for all you athletes. I don't charge for this. I love to help. I love to volunteer. And if any of you guys have any injuries, please talk to me about it. From head and neck to back, the list goes on.
Awesome. Well, to be continued on that, Jeff. I appreciate it, though. Can't wait to see the stuff myself. And obviously for both of you, Jeff, Dustin, can't thank you enough for your time doing this. Again, I'm over here smiling. Love to see Dustin smiling. Obviously, the emotion from Jeff is easy to see. So thank you guys so much for your time. Safe travels. Can't wait to see you at Briarcliff.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, excited to see everybody out there.
Awesome, guys. Thanks so much. All right, guys, we are full on Legends race prepping right now with as many of these guys as we can sit down with here leading up to the event next weekend. And next up is possibly the most current guy in the class. I've already been seeing people commenting on our stuff. What if it rains? I have Nick Denoble with me here, of course. Nick, Legends race is finally here. I would think you have to be pretty over the moon to be a part of this thing, pal.
Oh, man, Cody, I'm super pumped for this. After that What If a Rain Day race at Ironman, I never thought I'd be bringing a quad down for another race like this. I seen that Huevos Invitational last year. Thought that was cool. But man, this race here, this is phenomenal. This is one for a lifetime.
For sure. I remember there being some kind of Legends race TT style in the year 2000, and they still talk about it to this day, the guys that were there. So to think about it's 2024, it's all these years later, as long as ATV Motocross has been around, as long as you and I've been around, there's been nothing like this. I don't know that you're ever going to rope all these guys, back together to do something like this. So it really feels like once in a lifetime. So to be a part of it, pal, has to be pretty amazing. So my question, one of the questions I had, when I think about Nick Denoble for this race is, did it take any convincing to Jeremy to get your name on the roster? Because, obviously you're a legend. Like I just told you, your most legendary, moment came a couple of years ago at Ironman when you won the second moto there, but you're obviously pretty current, having signed up in 2022. But then again, I know that there was a giant hiatus, like a decade or whatever before that you were gone. So take me through what that conversation was like when, I don't know how it worked out. If you reached out to him, he reached out to you, but take me through what that was like when you got your name on the roster here.
Oh man, Cody, honestly, it started a while ago, and I heard something about a Legends race, and I instantly hit him up, because all these episodes we talk about how much I love this. And winning the Ironman, like people actually called me a legend, after doing that, being retired for 9 years and doing that. And it's like, well, yeah, I guess I am involved in this race, No, but that Ironman race too, man. I mean, it's honestly, I kind of think, me personally, is kind of what kind of led up to this also, to bring all these guys back riding too, get a little fire under these old guys' butts, get them back all riding stuff that they miss doing, like why I went back and rode.
Just about all those guys, especially any of the guys you raced with, were like, man, I wish I was Nick.
Right? Yeah. Or they're thinking, well, if a guy never won back when he was racing and he wins now.
Right. Yeah, of course. So did it take some convincing, or was it full go when the conversation started?
It took a little convincing. People are giving Jeremy a pretty hard time just because of that pro race, me winning that.
But the argument would be it was just one race.
Right. Yeah, that's what it was. And it's like, it's not like I trained for it, you guys. I mean, it was a 50-50 chance,
No, the odds were much worse than 50-50.
Yeah,
Nick.
but
it was one in a million, probably.
Right. Yeah. But how social media is these days, and people are just giving them grief. And I just told him, you do what you got to do, man. It's awesome what you're doing. I'd appreciate it if I was part of it. He goes, Nick, what you did over there, yeah, you're part of it. And
that's awesome.
Ever since then, it's just a dream come true. I trained with Digger, Wimmer, Brown, those guys. I looked up to Cory Ellis, never raced with Cory, Dana Creech. I mean, dude, Dana Creech riding again.
I know. It's amazing. I know.
You can see I'm pumped. I can't even describe my feelings,
Yeah, it's a dream for, obviously I can't imagine what it feels like for you to be, a rider included in this thing and ride with dudes that you raced with, years ago, and guys you didn't even get to race with that you looked up to. Like, how cool is that? And, I don't want to, like, the fantasy thing, I think, is another really cool aspect of this. I think you being involved is a major wild card, because I mean, again, like, you're more current in the fact that you haven't rode a ton in the last 12 or 13 or whatever years, but we know, you were capable of being a pro rider, a couple of years ago. So, it's going to be really fun to see how it plays out. Nick, the biggest question, I think, like, when I, for this chat, the biggest question I had kind of coming into it was, what machine will you be riding? Because obviously there's rumors out there about you possibly riding a Cannondale. My dad told me at one point he saw you looking for Cannondale graphics or something. So, I mean, it must be relatively legit. I talked to the Cannondale guy. He came up to me and introduced himself at Ironman and kind of told me hopefully was going to roll out the red carpet to have you ride one of these things and all these things. So what's the plan? Are we riding a Cannondale? What's the deal?
Man, I don't know yet. I'm going to bring the Ironman winning quad.
Straight down from the rafters.
Straight down from the rafters, you guys. I literally won Ironman, put it up in my rafters, took it down a month ago. It's been sitting, leaking some oil. Took the carb boot off, cleaned the inside out, did nothing with the carbs. I had my daughter pull start me a quarter mile down the road, got her running again, and so we'll take the old Ironman. We're going to take the old legendary Ironman quad that hasn't been touched since then down there. And my buddy Joe P down in Indiana, he has a really nice Walsh P Cannondale, fully built motor and everything, pro caliber. And I just see a lot of these old guys riding new school quads. And I see a lot of whiners about me with this winning 2 years ago. Well, if you want me to make it safe, make it equal, I'll ride a Cannondale then.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
it'd be cool. It'd be cool. It'd be cool to ride a Cannondale. It'd be cool to see a Cannondale out there. Obviously, this guy is an engineer, right? The Cannondale guy's an engineer. So what he's at, he has a super cool. He went through his whole diatribe about all the stuff that they've built and made and improved on the Cannondale. So it's going to be cool to see this thing, whether you ride it or not. Like I don't think that, I mean, John Natale was just racing at the NEATV. Like these guys are doing a bunch of laps. Like, I don't think that you need to feel like you need to
impress people.
Well, no, I don't think that you need to feel like you need to do something to kind of hinder yourself to make it an even playing field. I don't think that that's the case. I think there's going to be a bunch of good guys. And I think that you're going to be in the mix. Right. But I want to see everybody's best. And to me, and I was told you this before we hit record on this thing, I think the most legendary thing of all, because you said to me, it'd be cool for a Legends race to bring something like the Cannondale. People will enjoy that. But to me, riding the quad that won Ironman, coming straight down from inside the shop and, hanging in the ceiling, like I think that's more legendary than anything.
Yeah, I know, man. And that's the thing, it is my quad from 2012, my race days, winning that race. And I'm going to drive all day Thursday. My buddy owns the track, Honda Hills. And me and Joe, we're going to take my Honda and that Cannondale out there and go do a couple test laps.
Okay.
I didn't promise him I was going to ride it. Mm-hmm. He's bringing it out. I'm going to feel it out. I can jump on pretty much anything and ride it, but
we know.
I do want to be competitive. I do, but a lot of these people want to see a lot of these old school quads, not just sitting there, but out there too, but seeing Wimmer and them riding and stuff, that is one thing I think that Cannondale is gonna take away from me is being competitive. Mm-hmm. It's going to be cool to see me out there riding it, but I don't think I'm going to be top potential. Honestly, I don't think.
Well, you have no way to know right now. You'd basically be guessing. Right? You couldn't sit here right now in good faith and say, I'm going to go the exact same lap time on the Cannondale that so my question, my dad, do you remember like way back in the day, like 2002, did you guys have Cannondale? You didn't have Cannondales back then, right? No. So that's what I wanted to tell the listeners. And I said this to Billy on the previous episode. You have no real connection to the Cannondale at all, other than the fact that it was
just my dream quad. It was always my dream quad.
Got it. Okay.
When those Cannondales came out in 2002, 2003, when I first got in, man, that Moto 440 came out,
so bad,
dirt wheels. I was like, oh my God, like it's just my dream quad.
When you were on a Z400,
Yep. When I was on that Z400, yep. Which is probably very compatible with that Cannondale. I don't know. Like I said, I'm bringing my Honda down. I got the Cannondale as of right now in my head. I talked to Joe yesterday. Great guy and everything. He's bringing a big group down and stuff too with that Cannondale.
I can't wait to see the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? I might switch it up a moto here. Depends how I do first moto. I might qualify in the Honda and race the Honda first moto. And if I'm tired and just junk the rest of the day, then I'll jump on the Cannondale and ride that the second moto.
There you go. There you go. So it's to be determined yet. That's the answer.
Yeah. I mean, people need to understand, I literally did not touch my quad since Ironman. You guys, I mean, I have not touched it.
No, you were planning to never take it down.
No. And I took it down and it's just been sitting there because it's just work and lawn and softball and, know. Yeah. So, we'll see. You'll see the Honda and the Cannondale underneath the 1, 2, 3 tent. I don't know. I guess we might have to flip a coin.
There you go. Well, that's exciting. I'm glad that you're not all in one way or the other, because I think either story is really cool. So last question for you, pal, before we see you in Ohio. What are your expectations for this thing? You kind of got into that just now. I told you, I think, you're major, not only a wild card, I think you're a wild card in the fact that we've seen you ride probably more recent than just about every one of these guys. So we know what to expect from you. But I think you have just as good a chance as anybody at winning this thing, especially on the Honda. Nothing against the Cannondale, but I know what to expect from you on the Honda.
Yeah.
So what are your expectations going into this thing? Like, is your goal to, I'm sure you have visions of you winning this thing or for sure being on the podium. I mean, that would be another legendary moment of your career. Like that would be something you and your family, another memory you guys would hang on to just like 2 years ago. Yeah. So I assume we're talking about Legends race. We're talking about some of the greatest racers ever. I mean, all of you guys probably imagine yourselves winning this thing, but I think that you got a decent chance at this thing, pal.
Yeah, man, Cody. I mean, honestly, man, I'm not getting my hopes too high, just like I did at Ironman. I'm going for a good time to catch up with some good old friends, rub some tires, rip a hole shot or two, you know. So
Gotta expect that. Yeah.
You know, so between me and Uppy, you know, who knows?
Yep.
Well, you know, Bird's there with his DASA, so
that thing's a 700.
Right? Yeah. It is an open class, so he probably does. Yeah, for sure. Honestly, my expectations, they're two complete expectations on a Honda and on a Cannondale.
Yep.
On a Cannondale, I want to go out there, have fun, show people the old bikes, hopefully top 10. Honda, honestly, man, I haven't trained at all. I haven't done nothing. All I do is work. So just a mental race for me again, like Ironman, and the top 3 would be nice. You know, number 1 spot would be nice, but seeing these guys training and stuff, taking it way too serious than they should be, you know.
Yeah, but you're going to go out there, you're going to jump all the jumps on the second lap. Like it's just going to be old Nick's going to come back. So
yeah, I know. Toss a heel clicker out.
See, there you go. Over Bigfoot. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, I think it's going to be super cool, man. I'm stoked that you're a part of this thing. Like I said, I think you cemented yourself as a true legend at Ironman a couple years ago. You deserve it. You deserve to be a part of this thing. And man, I'm stoked you're going to. Yeah, I'm so stoked for this event. I'm glad that your name's in this thing. And man, I can't wait to see you in Ohio. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Me too. You know, whole family's coming down.
Awesome.
Just like the old days, So everyone stop on by, pictures and stuff. I'm actually going to be bringing down one of my first jerseys I've ever raced with back in 03 at local races. I'm going to bring that with and just kind of thinking about doing a little raffle and, you know, something fun in the pits, you know. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just excited to see everyone again and old friends. And man, this event is huge. You know,
it's going to be so big.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be so big. Pumped. Yeah. So I'll tell you right now, and then we'll get out of here. But Briarcliff last year, like Jeremy does such a good job of promoting this event. His event, I should say in general. So like spectator wise, like it was more spectators at that event last year than I had seen at a race in a very long time. And now you add the legends to it. There's people coming from everywhere, out of country. Like it's going to be big. I last I heard, I mean, we were worried about having enough spots for parking and, you know, for spectators and all these things.
Qualifying now too. You know, like
huge, dude.
It is like back in the day, 28 old pros.
You're going to be sitting on the line like, man, I thought I was done feeling this feeling anymore, but man, it's going to be awesome.
That's funny. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be so cool. Well, I'm wishing you safe travels. Can't wait to see you there and get a little training in here in these next week or so.
Nah, that 12-ounce curls is only training. I appreciate it, man, and you safe travels too, and see everyone down there.
Can't wait to see you, pal. We'll talk soon. Okay.
I appreciate it, Cody. Take her easy.
That's Nick Denoble, and this is our Briarcliff Legends Race preview on the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. Have a good night, pal. Thanks.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
The following message is brought to you by Manscaped.com. The Manscaped engineering team has outdone themselves this time, creating the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, now available for purchase in the U.S. and Canada. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, an official sponsor of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast, with this exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at manscaped.com. I'm one of the first people to try the new 4.0 and I am blown away. This thing is next level. What sets this trimmer apart from all the rest? The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. It features a new multi-functioning on-off switch with travel lock for those of us who like to travel. And my favorite, the new trimmer allows you to customize your trim with 4 different guard lengths, an upgrade from its predecessor that only featured 2. If you're listening, you know that good tools are a must, so wait no more to get the best tools for the job. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com by using code DiggingDeep20.
Hey everyone, this is Larry Mills, president of DP Brakes North America and proud partner of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. We at DP Brakes are a longtime supporter of ATV racing and the world leader in sintered brake technology, dominating the ATV world for decades by supporting the best four-wheel racers on the planet. This year's lineup includes Jeff Rastrelli, Mark Baldwin and Baldwin Motorsports, Ford Brothers Racing, Nick Gennusa, and many more, including Mr. Digging Deep himself, Cody Jansen. Plus all the top 17 GNCC pros such as 7-time champion Walker Fowler, Bryson Neal, Hunter Hart, Cole Richardson, Jared McClure, Adam McGill, and previous champion Chris Borich. These top riders continue to appreciate the high performance and impressive durability that their DP brakes have to offer, products that ultimately help place them on top of the podium week after week. DP brakes are available through www.dp-brakes.com, or you can purchase them through your local Parts Unlimited stocking dealer, or you can even message us, myself, Larry Mills, or DP Brakes on Instagram or Facebook. And if you have any questions about product or sponsorship support, please ask us. We are waiting for you. Join the best ATV riders in the world equipped with DP Brakes, and have a great year, everyone.
Nearing 2 decades into the brand's existence, Factory 43 is back and better than ever, continuing to make major waves in the ATV world. For the 3rd consecutive season, Factory 43 is the official aluminum parts choice of the Phoenix Racing ATV team, providing their state-of-the-art Evo Nerf bars, MX-style front bumpers, and grab bars for 2-time champ Joel Hetrick. If you're in the market to upgrade your Nerf bars, bumpers, or grab bars, head over to factory43atv.com to see their full line of industry-leading products available for all makes and models. Head over to factory43atv.com today.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Stillo, director of the D6 Ultimate Quad Series. We've been working hard over the years to bring you the very best in local ATV motocross racing. The D6 Ultimate Quad Series has race classes for all ages and skill levels. Maybe you're an experienced rider or you're just starting out, we have a class for you. We're excited to announce that we have 11 rounds of racing at tracks located in Pennsylvania, New York, and Maryland. For more information, follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, guys, our Legends race preview continues with one of the guys I'm most excited to have back at the ATV Nationals and back behind an ATV motocross starting gate yet again here. I grew up idolizing this guy. He's a true legend in every sense of the word, and I'm stoked to welcome Kory Ellis back to the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. Kory, we're briefly chatting with as many of you legends as we can here to get ready for this once-in-a-lifetime event, and you were one of the original big-name guys, I think, to really commit to this thing. So were you all in on this from the very start? Because it seemed like when I was first hearing about a Legends race, your name was kind of connected to it.
Yeah. I mean, when I heard about it, I did the TT one a couple of years ago, and I had a blast at it, even though I rode my motocross bike, but I had a blast at it. And I always enjoyed going back east and racing the nationals and all that stuff. So I've been trying to go back and race a national for the last 4 or 5 years, ATV Motocross National, and just seems like it never worked out. So this was just like a perfect excuse for me to come out and race. You know, I've been racing a couple races here and there, works races and some local, quad crosses and short course races and stuff, just a few times a year. So I'm, it's not like I haven't been riding, but I still enjoy riding when I can get a chance. But it was just a great excuse to come out and hit a national. It's not, I wanted to go to Texas or Sunset, something a little closer, but I mean, Briarcliff looks like a fun track from all the videos I've seen. So it was like, as soon as I heard about it, I'm like, I'm in. That gives me a good reason to come out and race and have some fun.
Heck yeah. And the other thing too, like you kind of just mentioned, you ride, semi-regularly. You have over the past, however many years, right? You never really stopped riding necessarily. So in comparison to many of the guys, like I feel like you come in with, maybe more recent riding muscle memory than most of them. And I think that probably gives you an advantage. So we know that you've been doing, just like you said, works races and West Coast stuff in recent years and riding, like I said, semi-regularly. What has your year so far this season looked like? Have you done much riding, racing, anything like that yet?
The only thing, I don't ever practice. I just go out and race.
You and me both.
I'm busy, family and work and stuff. So I don't ever get a chance to practice. Plus, there's really not anywhere to practice as far as a track. I can ride from my house and go to San Hollow and ride, but with all the side-by-sides now, I just don't want to go out there by myself. You just never know what's going to happen out there.
I get it.
So, as far as I just show up and race the works race, and I rode Glen Helen and I rode Havasu. So I rode the smoothest one probably and the roughest one this year.
Okay.
Just straight off the couch. And I rode a short course race about a month and a half, 2 months ago, which is just like a real quick sprint TT kind of race, really no jumps, just high speed. So that's the only time I've been on the bike this year is just those 3 times. But I've been going to the gym pretty regularly the last 3 years. So that helps me a lot when I come off the couch and ride. I'm still sore, but I'm not as winded, but my arms still blow out and get tired and everything like that. But yeah, no, as far as, 3 or 4 times a year is about what I've been averaging the last few years, but just come off the couch and go out and have fun more. It's just, I go on, I kind of get an itch and I want to go ride, and I go ride and I'm like, man, that's a lot of work and pretty beat up for not going that much. And then I sit on the couch for another 4 or 5 months and then I forget about that. And then I go out and do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is kind of just normal part of your yearly schedule here. Just you're coming out east instead of, staying out there.
And it's just a vicious cycle of just forgetting how much you get beat up or soreness, I should say. And kind of forget about that and go out and just abuse myself for a weekend. And then probably one more time later this year, I'll forget and I'll go out and ride again.
Well, there you go. You had kind of referenced it's a time management thing. Like if you had more time, you'd obviously ride more and stuff. But your problems are very similar to many of ours, where it's like, man, there's not really many places to practice. So like my racing is the only time we get to ride or whatever. But yeah, so stoked to have you coming out here. I'm glad that it was never really in doubt, even though you're one of the guys making as long a trip as anybody. At one point, I knew that you were kind of kicking around, potentially riding a Suzuki or something, like, obviously, you were a Suzuki guy there for a long time, team manager at one time, all those things, stuff that we talked about on the podcast before. But I'm assuming that you're going to ride a YFZ, I would think.
Yeah. The ideal situation really would be for me to ride my own bike and ride a bike that I ride the most frequently right now. So I'm the most comfortable on it, no matter what I was doing, Yeah, I definitely did get a couple people call me that Walsh hybrid that I rode at Daytona back, was that 14, 15, whatever that was.
The 500.
Yeah, I got a call that was available to kind of ride if I wanted to ride it. Johnny Hill actually called me and offered me one of Wesley's bikes to ride.
Okay.
But that would have probably been the fastest thing to ride because my bike's not my bike's fast, but it's not that fast. It's not a national bike, But the ideal thing is ride my own bike, and that way I'm comfortable on it and not trying to get used to a track and, go out there and have fun on someone else's bike. And so luckily, David Haagsma decided to go, and he's not driving his truck, but Austin Baxter, it's a fast local pro. He's going to come out and I think probably ride an A class or Pro class. But Austin's driving Davy's truck and trailer, and he's going to haul my bike for me. So it worked out that I could ride my own bike and not have to actually drive it out there this time like I did for that TT race.
Awesome. Yeah, that works out great because I think in the spring, you and I had talked about something very similar where you were trying to figure out a way to ride your own quad. And that makes perfect sense to me, to ride something you're comfortable on, not have to learn a racetrack and somebody else's bike. And I'm not a guy that likes riding other people's bikes too at the same time. So yeah, super stoked. I was stoked to have Davey on the list too, because I think that he's another awesome addition to the class, right? He was a guy that was, podium guy and, 10 years ago or whatever, 8 years ago, something like that. And stoked to have him back in there. And I was wondering we'll talk to him because I was wondering what he was going to ride too. I know he's teasing the old Hondas, but I know he's got a Yamaha too, right? So it'll be cool to see, kind of some West Coast guys over here, like you guys making the trip. I love it.
Yeah. I haven't really asked. I really didn't ask him what he's riding. He kind of mentioned both bikes, and I saw he posted he had both bikes ready to go. And so I'm curious if he would actually ride. I think my guess would be Davey's going to race his Honda in the Legends race and then ride the Yamaha in another class.
Okay.
Is what I'm thinking he's probably going to end up doing. But I haven't really I just kind of asked him for a ride, and that he said, yeah. And that was kind of all the farther I kind of went with that. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. And I talked to Austin a couple of days ago and firmed up with him when he's going to pick up bikes, or if I'm meeting him, or what was kind of going on the plan on that side. So
nice,
but yeah, Davey's, it's going to be a crapshoot who's going to go fast. I think, everybody I think has speed. The longevity is going to be the key on it. But definitely I think the younger guys to me are, like Davey, he has a better chance of going faster for longer than, someone more my age class or my age bracket that hasn't ridden in a long time, because at least he's a little bit more recent than, someone from the 90s or early 2000s.
At the same time, Cory, like, I feel like you put all your guys together. Like, I know nobody wants to kill themselves for this thing, but the competitive juices are going to be flowing. I feel like it's not like you're going to just lay over.
The thing was like, oh yeah, let's come out and have some fun. I went to that TT race, the Legends race, what was that? 6-8 years ago, whenever that was, Ashtabula.
Yeah. Yep.
And that was supposed to be a fun race. And I'll tell you, it was not a fun race. People were ramming each other, going for it in the first turn wide open. I mean, I'm out there on a moto bike and everybody else on TT bikes. So I'm like, I thought we were here to have fun. Shane's changing, jetting and gears and sprockets.
Of course he is.
And everything else on his bike. I'm like, I thought we were out here to have fun. And I bring a motocross bike and borrow some used TT tires, and like you made a post on Instagram, and I commented on it. I'm like, this is for fun, right? The winky face. I mean, I think it's one of those things everybody's saying it's for fun, but when the gate drops, everybody's going to go as far as they can. I think it's going to be a battle. I just hope everybody comes out and okay, that's something I'm hoping for.
Me too. I hope that nothing bad happens, because we're trying way too hard. But yes, the juices are going to be flowing. Everybody's. I mean, you guys are legends. You guys are the greatest ever. Like, we should expect nothing else, right? Like, I know that people are going to take it pretty far here. You had said earlier before we hit record on this that you had talked to Shane recently. You had talked to Pat Brown. You had talked to some of these guys. I know Shane did some riding at the racetrack. Even he rode at Briarcliff a little bit, and I know that you've been talking to Dustin's camp a lot. So what intel do you got from some of the guys you've been talking to prior to this race? Anything that you learned from those guys heading in?
Well, Shane, you never know what you're getting. He'll tell you one thing and he'll straight lie to you. That's how he's always been. He's like, oh yeah, I'm riding this bike and it's not that fast, and I haven't got a ride at all. And then he was like, well, I went to Briarcliff a couple days. I went to this track a day or two, and this a day or two. And I'm like, well, you haven't ridden all, but there's 6 days I've counted you've ridden. And he's like, yeah, and this bike's not that great. I got, well, we dynoed it. We got 4 more horsepower out of it, and the shocks aren't set. They're not set for me, but I got some different springs, and it actually works pretty good. And he starts. The more you talk to him, it comes out. He's got to kind of read between the lines with Shane. He's always been that guy that I'm just going to go have fun, and then he shows up and he's doing everything he can to get an advantage or cheat without cheating. So.
Oh, that's him though. I feel like that's a great addition to the class. It wouldn't be the same. Wouldn't be the same without him, I feel like. But yeah, I saw some pictures and some videos of him when he was there, and yeah, I think it's going to be really exciting. This group of guys that we got together for this thing is amazing. So kind of touched on this a little bit, but didn't necessarily get a concrete answer from you. So kind of a parting last question here. What are your expectations? What's the goal for this thing? I know you want to have fun. I know you want to come home in one piece. But at the same time, I'm sure you have images in your head, thoughts in your head of, standing on the podium at this race next weekend. Like, that would be a really cool thing, Cory. So tell me what your thoughts are going in, expectations, and what you're going to be happy with leaving there.
I mean, of course, try not to get hurt. That's number one. But past that, I mean, I just want to go out and have fun. It's hard to say because you don't know what everybody's been doing, where everybody stands. I mean, I know John's probably going to be, I heard John's riding a lot. John's got a fast bike.
That's what
John, yep. John, and I saw John ride it, at that Huevos Steel a couple of years ago, and he was ripping. So I know John's going to be super fast. And then there's people like Upperman that I don't know what Josh has been doing for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years since he quit riding. I mean, has he been sitting on the couch? Has he been riding? Has he been riding recently? What's he riding? Does he have a Honda he's breaking out somewhere? And Mark has it all ready to rip. It's, one of Ford's bikes.
I don't know. I that's kind of what I thought too. I'm like, is he going to show up on, fully prepped Baldwin quad? Like, I wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, I don't think the guy's been like riding really. So yeah, very like it's so hard to predict, right? Like you can't, like, this is a preview show, but it's a preview show talking to you guys. It's not a preview show and hey, this is what we expect, because honestly, I don't think anybody knows what to expect.
Yeah. And I mean, like I was thinking about today, I was like, Johnny Hill is going to be there. Johnny Hill was always fast. I mean, he was always known to linger around top 10, but he was fast. Mm-hmm. But he's building Wesley's bikes that are crazy fast. So if he's on one of Wesley's bikes, I mean, who knows how much? I don't know how much Johnny's been riding, if he still rides at all. He might show up and be the fastest guy out there and have one of the fastest bikes. There's so many variables. It's hard to say who's going to do what, because I think it depends on how long it's been since someone's riding, far as what kind of shape they're going to be in to make it, 2 motos. And I think it's 5 laps. I heard, is that right?
I think so. 5 or 6, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I was hoping for pro-am motos, what I was kind of hoping for.
Yeah. Endurance.
Yeah. I was there for a little bit of endurance on a sprint. So if someone gets a bad start, you can make some passes or wear somebody out. But
well, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Yeah.
But I mean, it's just about everybody that's coming. That I'm pretty well. All those guys, just from myself, and I mean, you probably kind of starting to get this now that you're getting a little bit older. You still got the speed for a lap. Mm-hmm. That doesn't go away. It's the endurance that goes away. So it's going to be, what kind of bike you're on. If like Pat Brown's saying he's shown up on pretty much a stock, R Yamaha, but it has like shocks and stuff, but the motor's pretty much stock. So, I mean, the people who have a faster bike are going to have definitely an advantage over something like that, I think. But you also got to factor in their endurance, how long it's been since they've ridden.
It's a lot harder to ride something that's built too. Like that'll tire you out faster than being on a stalker.
Exactly. And that's the other thing is you can have a rocket ship, but it might just wear you out. So it's going to be really interesting to see what people show up with, how fast a bike they have, what kind of shape they're in, but I think far as raw speed, I think pretty much everybody that's coming has it for a lap or 2.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yep.
So it's going to be curious, you have to see after practice and people wearing themselves out after the first moto, if they can't ride the second moto, how long the motos actually end up being. But I'm hoping for like a good, 15 to 20 minute moto is what I'd like to run.
And to think that you guys get a time qualifier, like we're going way back in time. It's crazy, Kory.
Yeah. I'm also going to try to ride plus 40, I think too. Cause if I'm coming back there, I want to get some laps in,
Heck yeah.
And then on Sunday I can ride one moto and just kind of have some fun and chill out, and hang out the races.
I love that too, because obviously we know that there's going to be a giant influx of people there and they want to see you guys ride and stuff. So I think that that's a really cool thing too, is I think we're going to see an array of you guys sprinkled in some other classes. And I think that that'll be really fun for people to watch and awesome for you guys who are making the trip to, get as much seat time as you can at the races. Like I said, you're not spinning tons of laps during the week or whatever back at home. So you might as well get as much seat time as you can while you're hanging out at a racetrack.
Yeah, exactly. And if I'm too sore on Sunday morning, I just won't ride that.
I just pull out. Yeah.
So it's been a while since I've ridden at a national. So I think the last time I came out was like 14. I rode Loretta's. And I had a mechanical on like the second lap of my first moto, so I didn't even really get a ride. So It's been a while since I actually got some laps in a national. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, Kory. Well, awesome to think of you being back at the ATV Motocross Nationals. This is awesome. Like you've been talking about, I think that this is truly a once in a lifetime event. I don't think that we're going to see this group of you guys together doing this. I mean, I don't know that it ever happens again. I just think that it's the perfect storm of more and more momentum. Like we had kind of referenced, we were talking about this back in March and we both didn't know what was going to happen. And here we are with a really, really awesome list of guys. I was trying to speculate. I mean, it must be of the 20 plus guys, we must have 13 or 14 like pro class winners, right? And in an array of champions and all that stuff. So yeah, should be really cool. What an awesome group of guys. It's going to be so much fun. And I'm so glad that we're finally here.
How many people is it up to now? Because I know the list went out a couple weeks ago and it was 21 or 22, but then I talked to Shane today and Shane said there was 3 or 4 more people that got added, I think.
I thought the number was like 24-ish, but I know for a fact that there's guys on that list that aren't going to come. So, So we'll see. I think it's going to be close to that 20 mark. I mean, I don't think we're going to be below it, but I think inevitably, I mean, there's going to be a guy or two that doesn't show.
So have you heard any more on format? Because I can't remember if it was you or someone else told me that they were maybe going to do split start with different kind of age groups, but not age groups, I guess. Timelines, I would call it.
Yeah, kind of like waves, right? Like that is something that I had heard at the beginning, but that was before we knew we were going to have a whole class and stuff. So we'll see. We can't have waves if it's only going to be 5 laps. We can have waves if it's going to be 15 minutes. Yeah. But I think he's probably worried if it's 15 minutes that everybody's going to be dead by the time the second moto comes. So I don't know. We'll see.
My vote's for like 13 plus 1.
There you go.
15 plus 1. That's what I'm for.
Says the works guy nowadays. Cory wants the longer motos, but yeah, man, I can't wait. I'm so glad that it's finally here. You're a legend, and this event is built for you. It wouldn't be the same without you here. So can't thank you enough for your time here, chatting about it a little bit. It's got the juices flowing for sure. We're stoked about it, and obviously just wishing you safe travels and all those things, and looking forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, no, thanks. I'm excited to be there, and excited to come hang out with some guys I haven't seen for a while, and get some laps, and more importantly, get some laps in. And from what I hear, Briarcliff, it's an awesome track, so I'm excited to go ride there, and check it out. So I'm still a moto guy at heart, and so I'm looking forward to it. Looking to have some fun.
Awesome, man. Well, like I said, safe travels. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds good, Cory. That's Cory Ellis right here on the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. We'll see you in Ohio, pal. Thanks so much. All right, guys. This next guy, probably the headliner for me for this ATV Legends race at Briarcliff, 1997 ATV Pro GNC National Champion, Mr. Shane Hitt joins me. Shane, this Legends race, we've been staring this thing down for a little while now. Now it's just over a week away. Is the excitement building for you?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it for a while, and you just, I don't know. I mean, you feel like it's never going to happen. And then, you say, well, I'm going to start getting ready. And the next thing you know, it creeps up on you, and here it is. And you're like, I don't know. I mean, I started trying to get ready about a month ago, and I went and rode, and because I said I would do this thing. And then I went down and rode at Brett Music's house with him and his dad one day, and I made one lap, and I'm like, my big mouth got my ass in trouble this time. I'm not sure I really want to do this thing, but here we are. My body thinks my mind went crazy on this deal, but
oh my gosh,
we're going to go do it and have some fun.
That's amazing. So you've been doing some riding at Briarcliff, even at least a few times now. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I've been up there twice. Odyssey, as most people know, Odyssey, I rode motocross for years, and then finished my career basically doing the TT stuff. And I haven't really ridden motocross. It's like I was talking to Baldwin earlier, and I said, my last full season of motocross was on a 2-stroke in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Then I signed a deal with Yamaha in 2004, ran Glen Helen. I think I was 5th at Glen Helen and 4th at Gatorback, and then I wrecked and broke both legs, and that was it. I went back and rode one time for Baldwin at
Gatorback.
I went back and rode once at Gatorback.
Mm-hmm.
In like 2006 or something around there.
That's the year I would have guessed. Yep.
Yeah, around 2006. And then I rode, maybe later that year, I rode a race for Baldwin.
At Steel City.
At Steel City. Mark Kendall got hurt.
Yes.
And the Mark called me and said, hey, you want to ride Kendall's bike? And I'm like, yeah. So I showed up and rode up there. The first day I got in a wreck and in the first turn, and I don't know, I ended up like 5th or 6th. And then the next day I actually won that, whatever class. I rode 2 classes. I don't even know what they was back then.
Must have been Pro-Am, right? Like Pro-Am Unlimited and Pro-Am Production, I think.
Yeah, it was Pro-Am or Pro-Am Production or something, whatever Kendall rode, because Kendall and Mark Kendall and Josh Upperman were both riding for Mark. And it was Mark and Timmy's team put together or whatever it was back then.
Well, yeah, so it's been a little bit is what you're telling me. It's been a little bit.
And it's really been, for me, it's really been over 20 years since I really done any motocross. So I thought, well, I probably better go to Briarcliff and check it out. I mean, I talked to a couple guys and they're like, oh, that track's got some big jumps in it. And I'm like, well, shit, I might not want to do this. So,
well, the good thing for you, Shane, is that it's got some obstacles, yes, but it's rock hard and could get a little blue groove and stuff like that. So that part will feel at home.
Yeah, that track, it's actually really nice. That's a nice place.
It really is. Yep.
I was surprised how nice it was. But I went up there and rode, and there's not anything in it that's remotely scary. So
no,
I jumped everything probably on the track and probably 4 laps. So, so I'm comfortable. And here, the other reason I went up there is because back when I raced, I had a practice track and we had local tracks. All that's gone now.
Same here. Yep.
We don't have any place to ride. And I'm looking around at, like, you know, Dustin and Travis, and they're riding at Nick's, but everybody's went to practice tracks and there's no place to ride anymore. So, you know, the closest place to me is, believe it or not, is Briarcliff.
I believe it. I really do, because I have to drive 4 or 5 hours to find anything decent as well, except for one private track. Yeah.
It takes me about 3 hours to get there, and then it takes me about 3 hours to get to Breezewood. But if you're going to run a race, I mean, you better off to practice where you're going to race.
Of course. Yeah, of course. So we saw you on an LTR at one point.
Yep.
So what are we going to be riding for this thing?
LTR.
We're going to ride that LTR. Okay. So how did that come about?
Well, it come about, Binky called me, and we talked about it way back when about doing this thing. Okay. And then I talked to him for a while, and then he calls me up where his buddy Gary does. Binky's got a buddy named Gary Harrison. So he calls me up and says, hey, Binky wants to do this thing. You want to do it? And I'm like, yeah, sure. He says, well, come down to Binks and pick out whatever you want. So I went down there to Binky's museum or whatever that thing is that he's got with 400 four-wheelers, and says, Binky's like, take whatever you want. I don't care. So we walked through and I looked at a bunch of different bikes, and Ford's got some bikes down there that's got some KTM dirt bike motors and stuff in them. And that's kind of what we were probably going to do. And then I sat on it and started up, but it vibrated a lot with that dirt bike motor.
Okay.
I'm like, I really want to do that, you know? And so, and then Binky had an LTR sitting there that he had some work done that he was actually going to race himself. And then his brother got that COVID shot and jacked him all up. And so Binky didn't want to race now because they're partners. So, so if something happened to him, they would be no one to run the business. And so I rode it, and I rode a 250R, and I thought, you know, this Suzuki's comfortable. It's really comfortable, and it got across the bumps and stuff at his place pretty good. And I thought, I think this thing's pretty good. So, and I started my career on a Suzuki. The first national I ever ran, motocross national I ran, I was on a Suzuki, a quad racer.
Okay. So that's kind of a special connection, a little bit.
And my local dealer is a Suzuki dealer. So I thought, you know, what better way I started this thing 40 years ago. What better way to end it on a Suzuki?
Hey, so this is what I was thinking, and you're kind of referencing that now, but this is what I was thinking. I was like, okay, so obviously you had a ton of good years after 1997, right? Like you did the TT thing, you know, well into basically almost to 2010, I think, you know, but to think that, you know, you were national champion in 1997. And so now if we do some math here, Shane, if I'm like looking at this and I'm like, man, if I could still be spinning laps and having fun 25 years from now, I'd be psyched.
You know what's crazy about that whole deal? And I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking, what the hell's wrong with me? But when I'm racing the pro class, I'm in my mid-20s and I'm seeing people like Andy Luberg, you know, Jason Luberg and Jamie Luberg's dad out there racing, and he's racing, I don't know, maybe it was plus 30 or plus 40, whatever. I thought he was old, but not. I am now, and I'm thinking, I would never want out there at that age. Dumb. Why would you do that? And here we are.
I often think about that too. I'm like, man, like I used to think, you know, the plus 30 class is a bunch of old dudes, like it's called the vet class. And now I think I'm like, it's just people that happen to be 30, but they're still 18. Like they think they're 18 anyway.
I don't know, but I mean, I still ride okay. And then I look and you got Barry McCarty coming, who I spent time with in Florida here this winter. And Barry is in unbelievable shape. He's almost 60. You got Doug Eichner rolling in. He's almost 60.
Yeah.
And then up against Dustin Wimmer, who's 30. So, well, I mean, glasses for a reason, but whatever.
Right. Well, yeah, it's going to be so cool though. I mean, so many legends, a couple different eras or a few different eras like you're talking about. It's going to be so cool. I think for so many people, I mean, you show up at High Point. We see you around the races here and there, or Daytona or whatever it is. But some of these guys, like I didn't think we were ever going to see Dana Creech at an ATV National again. Right. So like some of these names to just have everybody there is one thing. And then to think that we're going to have a weekend. I mean, Jeremy just told me today. So there's going to be 2 different riding sessions now on Friday for you guys to, kind of shake the rust off before that qualifier on Saturday morning. Cause I think that everybody was starting to get a little worried that how are you only going to have one practice session? It's qualifying right away. So this way everybody will kind of work out the kinks and the bugs and get lubed up and all this stuff. But it's going to be really fun to see all you guys together on the racetrack and man, it's just kind of a mishmash of just a bunch of different legends. And that's exactly what this should be. Different eras, different backgrounds, right? We got people coming from the West Coast and a cross country guy and Baja stuff or work stuff and you guys, TT guys. I mean, it's just, it's going to be really cool. But like I said, I think, all these years later, if you would have told yourself in 1997 that it'd be 2024 and you'd be lining up on a motocross start gate again, probably wouldn't have believed yourself.
No, I mean, I definitely wouldn't have. I mean, I said when I went to Ashtabula and raced up there 5 years ago, I said that was we're going to do it again. And then, but I got through the races some, and I look at the tracks, and and like this last winter or whatever, I was down at Timmy's, and I went and rode at his track a little bit, and the most fun we ever had was just showing up at tracks and riding. And like when I go like a Breezewood or go to a Briarcliff and ride. And it's just there on a normal day. It's a lot of fun. The race years, it sucked because everybody expected you to win. You put a lot of pressure on yourself. And if you ran bad, you wasn't happy. So the racing stuff wasn't as fun. But as you get older and you look back at it, I mean, you go to the races for all those years and you see all these people, and then all of a sudden you quit going and you just lose touch with them. And it's really the people that you miss. I don't really care about the racing. I mean, it's fun, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good time. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's the people, and we show up to races now, though. Honestly, and like if I go to Daytona, I know a handful of people. I don't know anybody anymore. Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody knows you, Shane. Everybody knows you at these things, whether you know them or not. But it's going to be really cool. You probably didn't think that you were ever going to line up in front of, a sea of people again. And it's going to be as big a sea of people, I think, as we've seen at ATV Motocross and in about as long as I've been alive. So that's going to be really exciting too. You got a lot of fans for this thing. And just like you said, I think that basically all of you that I've talked to so far have echoed the same sentiment that yes, like you want to have fun. That's the most important thing. And maybe the actual racing itself takes a back seat. But I would think that in the moment when that gate drops, like the competitive spirit is still going to rise to the top. I would think like you're still in that moment, you're going to want to go for it. Even if it's for a corner or a lap or just one moto, whatever it is. But you can't take the fight out of legendary riders completely. Right. I think there's going to be some moments there where you're like, man, am I taking this a little too seriously? Am I biting off more than I can chew? Whatever. But I think it's still going to be in you.
Well, I don't think that ever goes away. I mean, you're looking at a bunch of guys that were, when you look at this list, it was pretty much freak athletes. I mean, they were all really good in our time, and we're all got that mentality that, after we've quit, that we forgot about our bad races. We just remember the good stuff. We're all the best there is. So, and when the gate drops, I mean, our brains are probably going to turn to shit. In the first turn, it might get ugly, but it'll be fun, and it'll be good to see everybody. And I don't know. I mean, I wish I would have took it a little more serious, but it is what it is.
Just to put this group of guys together, it's hard to really even know what to expect because for so many people, they've done very little riding. They haven't rode in a decade. There's some guys that are doing some riding, whatever. But I think the biggest thing is just the expectations. It's a preview show. And I think the biggest thing is just to hear into your mindsets, how happy everybody is, to how stoked you are to be a part of it, how stoked you are to see all the fans and bench race about the old days and all those things, see some cool quads, hopefully stuff like that. I think that you're saying, the community, the people, I think is the biggest thing that is going to be the highlight of this thing. And then, icing on the cake is actually seeing you guys go take to the track a little bit, but it's going to be a once in a lifetime thing, Shane. I think that this gained so much momentum with the names that did show up to be a part of this thing, that it's going to be one of those things I don't think we're ever going to see happen again, not at this scale. And I hope that everybody appreciates it while we got it, because it's truly going to be once in a lifetime.
No, and I agree. We've talked about it, a couple different times, and I don't think they'll ever pull it off again. You figure out how long you really got to wait to kind of get everybody excited. So I don't think they'll ever pull it off, and you'll never have this list of names. I mean, there's some pretty good guys when you start going back as far as Doug. Doug was in the pro class when I started. Obviously, Timmy's, who knows about Timmy, whether he's coming or not. I'm not going to count him out, but anyway, I mean, with Timmy that I battled with all those years, Travis was there when I started. To line all these guys up, and then you bring in Dustin Wimmer's era. Dustin was obviously one of the best I ever saw. I mean, one of the smoothest riders. So I don't even know what to think. I mean, I don't know who rides, who doesn't ride. I talked to Kory yesterday. I know Kory tries to ride a little bit of work stuff on the West Coast, but he rides, age classes. And he called me yesterday and hell, he was putting his bike together because it's got to leave. And he said, I haven't had time to ride. I haven't finished my bike up.
That's what he told me. He said, I'm next to air and all the parts that I need for it, because I thought I was going to be ready and I'm not. But he said, Shane, I don't believe Shane. I don't believe Shane. I think he's riding more than he's leading on.
I would never tell Kory if I was. So. Here's the funny thing about this whole deal. Back when we raced the pro class, when you could show up and we walked down to the riders meeting and we're all standing there talking, whether it's me and Doug and Timmy and Joe and Travis or whatever, we're all standing there talking, and you say, you get a ride in this week? Nope. How about you? Nope. Every damn one of us lied. None of us rode. And every one of us rode all week long.
Of course.
So that's just the way it was. I wasn't telling them what I was doing.
Some things never change.
They'll find when we get there. I'm not. I'm a flat track guy. So.
There you go. Well, Shane, I'm stoked for this. It truly feels like a dream come true. I just can't believe that it's actually happening. I can't believe it's finally here. And like you said a few different times, to look at this list of guys, I mean, just any one of you showing up at a race would be a big deal. Just to be at the race as a grand marshal, something like that. And then to see the list of all of you guys, so many different champions and race winners and all those things. It really is surreal for a super fan like me, growing up loving this stuff as much as I do, and especially with so many guys that are connections to my youth with you and just so many of these guys. So it's going to be really, really cool. But I'm counting down the seconds for this thing, man. I really can't wait, and I think it's going to be so much fun. Obviously, fun for us, fun for me from the tower, fun for the people watching, and I think most of all, it's going to be a blast for you guys taking part of this thing. I think it's going to be something that you never forget, pal.
Well, and I've been up there a couple of times. Now, they did this thing at Ashtabula a few years ago, 5 years ago, I think, exactly. Do it because, that was kind of my background. Or that, the thing about it was I was good at motocross, but I was so good at TT, it really overshadowed my motocross. Mm-hmm. But like when Ashtabula done it, they usually get about 450 riders. They had almost 1,000 riders at Ashtabula when they did that.
I remember.
I'm looking up at Briarcliff, and I'm looking around, I'm thinking, they ain't got enough parking. Where are they going to park?
They're worried about it. Yeah, they're worried about it.
They better be worried about it, because I promise you, there's not enough unless they come up with some more room. That place will be full Thursday.
Yeah, so, I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
Everywhere I go, people stop me. You go on that Legends race? And I don't even know who they are.
See, I told you, everybody knows you, Shane.
So, and I'm like, yeah, you go on that Legends race? I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking about going. Oh, yeah, we're going to drive up. And friends and people that I haven't talked to are messaging me, you going on that thing? We're going up to watch. And I'm like, yeah, my dumb ass opened my big mouth. I'm going.
The more people say stuff like that, the more pressure comes with it, right?
Yeah. I wish you guys would stay home. That way, if I go up there and suck, nobody walks.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be fun, and I'm glad to go, and it'll be good to see everybody. And Jeremy's wanting 20 people on the gate, which that worries me a little bit, but I don't know that we need 20 of us on the gate, but we'll figure that out in the first turn, I guess.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, newsflash. I think there's going to be guys on the back row because I think there's enough of you that it's going to fill that whole gate. So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, obviously you're coming, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. So I'm announcing throughout the weekend there, so it's going to be fun. I should have the perfect spot to watch all you guys duke it out and have some fun, and can't wait to see all you guys, man. Like I said, 10-year-old little Cody would have been over the moon to see any of you guys, let alone so many of you at one time. So it's awesome, and a lot of you have turned into friends. So going to be really cool. Can't wait, and yeah, man, bring on next weekend. I'm so excited. I can't believe it's finally here.
Are you going up Thursday? Or are you going up Friday? Or
I'll be there Friday. Yeah.
They're going to have practice on Friday. So originally was, now they're having practice on Friday. So
yes, exactly.
I guess I'm going to pit with Baldwin. And I went up to Baldwin's the other night and worked on my bike a little bit. So
okay.
Pit with Baldwin. And it looks like, we'll be there Friday for practice. I'll probably just practice one session. I've already rode there twice. So I don't really need to learn much about the track. We made a ton of changes on this four-wheeler. So I want to at least make sure that's somewhat close.
Well, in typical Shane Hitt fashion, I feel like, you're always going to be tweaking on that thing, pal.
Well, I mean, you will. I mean, but here's the problem. We're our 50s. We can't run. We're not, we don't train every day. So, I mean, if we ride too much on Friday, we won't be able to get out of bed Saturday.
Well, that's what I've been thinking this whole time. I'm like, man, I'm glad they're giving some time on Friday. I know that was a big concern for so many people. You rode there a few times, but for the people that barely have any riding or have never seen the racetrack, they were worried about going out there for the very first time for a qualifying session. So I totally get that. But it's hard for me to imagine some of you guys, that have been gone for so long, rolling out on Saturday morning for time qualifying. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be surreal. It's going to be pinch me moment.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of saying no Friday practice because one, I don't have to go there, and two, I already rode the track, so I don't bail.
No practice, just green flag and go.
Yeah, let's just line up on the gate and draw spoons.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, I mean, practice. They need practice, obviously, to see the track. But I mean, obviously, if you haven't rode a lot and you go out there and you do two practice sessions on Friday, 2 15-minute, you're probably going to be pretty sore Saturday morning getting up.
I would think so. Well, Shane, I've taken enough of your time, but this is every person I talk to, especially, some of my favorites, some of the legends like you, man, it's just amping up my excitement for this thing. So I can't wait. Safe travels over there. It's only 3 hours for you. So safe travels, and we'll see you next weekend.
All right, buddy. Look forward to it.
Awesome, man. We'll see you then.
Success in the ATV MX world is similar to what creates financial success as well. The right people, the right advice, and more importantly, hard work and the benefit of an ongoing relationship as situations change and adversity is experienced. Do you have the right financial advisor to help you reach your goals? Haymauer Financial Group can create a personalized, goal-based plan to help your family prepare for whatever life brings. Call me, Scott Haymauer, at Haymauer Financial Group, a private wealth advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services, at 920-338-8150. That's 920-338-8150. Offices located in beautiful De Pere, Wisconsin, with registrations and clients nationwide.
Headlined by the 4130 Chromoly, Launderville Steel and Concrete Supply is a full-service steel supplier of new and surplus steel, aluminum, and stainless steel products. This racing family-owned full metal service center and concrete product supplier comes with over 30 years of experience serving the entire United States from their central Midwest location. As the #1 choice for nationwide shipments and with available next-day delivery in select areas, LSE has you covered near or far. 4130 is not just the chromoly tubing and plate used in the building of chassis for an array of motorsports applications, but it is also the name of the newest addition to the Pro Paddock with riders Jaden JJ Launderville and Max Lindquist, introducing the new 4130 Motorsports team. Launderville Steel offers a large selection of material for any project, including their concrete division that can supply everything you need to complete your next business or personal project. For a quote or more info, visit laundervillesteel.com today or give them a call at 715-675-6193. That's 715-675-6193. Here at Digging Deep, we have an obvious passion for ATVs and pridefully enjoy sharing the sport's history. Since 2019, when the podcast was born, we've been working to partner with individuals who share our passion, but one man and his vision had been missing from our partnership group. until now. When it comes to the sport's history, the hallowed grounds of Binky's Forever ATC Museum has it all. Binky Tapscott's mind-blowing collection of 3- and 4-wheelers has preserved history by spanning all makes and models from Honda 3-wheelers in chronological order to unique builds that shaped ATV racing as we know it, like Doug Gust's iconic DRZ-powered hybrid thumper and everything in between. There's no denying Binky's passion, a passion that we certainly relate to here at Digging Deep. Binky's goal is to share his amazing collection with fellow enthusiasts by making his prized possessions accessible to the public via scheduled visits. Follow Forever ATC Museum on Facebook and watch foreveratc.com for further updates on possibly getting a chance to see Binky's Forever ATC Museum for yourself. We are proud to welcome Binky's Forever ATC Museum to the Digging Deep family. As the #1 podcast in ATV racing, it's only right that we partner with the industry leaders in suspension tuning. Insert Impact Solutions. Impact Solutions is a full-service ATV and side-by-side suspension center specializing in the revalving and service of your motocross and off-road suspension. With over 25 years of elite-level knowledge, experience, and testing with riders of all ages and ability levels, Jay Goebel and the Impact crew strive to exceed clients' expectations for service and setup. Impact Solutions is the official Elka Suspension Service Center of the United States, offering unmatched product knowledge and experience. Whether you're in need of service, parts, warranty, sales, or technical support, Impact Solutions has you covered. Head over to impactsolutionsatv.com or give them a call today. With the desire to keep you in the race, Ultimate Poly Products offers the Ultimate Protection collection of case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more. Founded on quality in 1998, this family-owned and operated business produces products created by racers for racers. These industry-leading products are proudly made and manufactured in the USA, with their case savers being made of the highest quality American-made polyurethane on the market and designed to completely conform to your engine case to help prevent case damage from a thrown chain, because no one wants to be a spectator on race day. Join top pro riders like Bryson Neal, Walker Fowler, John Glotta Jr., Adam McGill, Cole Richardson, and more by using UPP Racing products. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP15 at uppracing.com to save on your next order. Ultimate Poly Products, made to last longer so you can ride more. Thanks for listening, and remember to support our partners. Now back to the show. All right, guys, next up on my list of guys that we're going to talk to leading up to this Legends race at Briarcliff is a West Coast legend, former AMA ATV Pro Class podium finisher, Mr. David Haagsma. David, I've been wanting to get you on the show for a long time, pal, so this is awesome. We'll have to do more of a long form thing here in the future, but yeah, welcome to Digging Deep, first time.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Yeah, I was laughing. You sent a message to me. Then I saw a message from a long time ago. I don't know. I must have never seen it, but yeah, I would love to do a longer podcast.
Yeah, no worries, man. But yeah, super stoked to chat with you now. Super stoked that you're going to be involved with this Legends race. So take me through the thinking to come over here and do this whole thing. I mean, later addition to maybe some of these guys. So take me through how you got into this thing. Did Jeremy reach out to you? You reach out to him? And I'm actually pretty sure that you rode at Briarcliff once. Give me the lowdown on all that.
Yeah. So, yeah, you know, we heard rumors that this race is going to happen. And then, you know, some people are like, oh, you're going to get invited. And to me, you know, when I think of Legends, I'm thinking Dustin Wimmer, you know, all these big names. You know, I didn't even think about myself, but people kept asking if I was going to race. And then, you know, a couple people kept messaging me online. And then, yeah, I think Jeremy finally messaged me or got a hold of my mechanic and invited me. And I'm pretty excited. Yeah, I haven't been to Briarcliff since like 2014. I can't remember, but
okay.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Pretty cool, man. And I think that it makes the event almost even more special because we got a little bit of everything going on. I mean, obviously I'm very much like you. The guys, you know, that I'm maybe most excited for or whatever are the older school guys, Shane Hitt, right? Like there's so many names, Dana Creech, you know, Cory Ellis, obviously just so many awesome big name guys. But then to sprinkle in some, you know, some other stuff too is cool. Like we got, you know, Chris Bittles, a GNCC guy. Obviously we have TT well represented with Shane Hitt and some of the guys I mentioned, but then, you know, we have West Coast being represented by you, and Cory's obviously a West Coast guy and stuff like that, but that's pretty special too. I mean, with all the stuff that you did at the Work Series and stuff out there is pretty special. And then you have a connection to the ATV Motocross Nationals after your time spent over here doing that too, and finishing on the podium and all those things, man. So it's going to be like going back in time and at least for one weekend, reliving the ATV motocross thing again.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited, and get to see a bunch of people that I haven't seen in a long time. I kind of just quit quad racing cold turkey, and I went to Loretta's a little while back, and whenever I find an excuse, I like to go back there and race it, and this was perfect. Kory messaged me, if I had room in my trailer, and I said, of course, I'm going to bring a couple other California guys. You just race, the A class and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see everyone get back out there and just have fun.
Well, that was one of the things that we talked about on last week's show. Is I said, man, Davey's going to be fast. Like and I was trying to remember if it was 2021, maybe you would have been at Loretta's, but I know it feels like yesterday you were, still at the ATV motocross races, going pretty damn fast in the fast 25 plus class there. So obviously my expectations are high for you. Kory kind of told me the same thing, that you guys linked up and we're going to, get the machines over here kind of linked up together, and sounded like those quads were going to leave here pretty quickly, or they at least had to be ready to go here pretty quickly now that we're almost, not much over a week away from this thing. So is it scramble mode like it always is as a racer, scramble mode to get everything together and then head east?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's not too bad. I have a Honda ready to go and I have a Yamaha ready to go. So,
okay.
They asked for, the quads we raced back in the day. So I had the Honda ready. Still got the old plastics, all that stuff. So it wasn't too much of a scramble. We kind of had everything ready.
Nice.
Kory might be scrambling. I don't know, but he's got till Monday afternoon to get it ready.
Okay. Yeah. He said he was in scramble mode. He was next to airing parts and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I think he's trying to go back to the glory days and get some of that old stuff going, which, is really cool to see. And I hope someone brings some two strokes out there.
Well, we know that Spader's going to be on one for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more two strokes going around with everything going on with this event, but going to be pretty cool. Obviously there's an array of guys that you wouldn't have ever raced against, right? Like we got to be of the same age, pretty close to it. So a lot of guys that we grew up kind of idolizing. So is there anybody in this race that you're, most stoked to be sharing a gate with, sharing a starting line with, anything like that? Like that's got to make you pretty excited, seeing some of the names on this list with you.
Yeah, to me, I started off on a 400 Suzuki. So Doug Gus, Jeremiah Jones was always one of my favorite riders, but Dustin Wimmer always had just really liked the Suzukis and was a big fan of them, and got to see them a couple times race. But yeah, they were all done racing by the time I got going. But probably those. And some of the older school guys too. I've heard stories through Kurt Sparks about, Shane Hitt and all these guys. So I'm just excited to meet them all and, hopefully have fun on the track.
Going to be awesome, man. To think about the class that we have assembled for this thing is so surreal. It's amazing. So tell me a little bit about, for the listeners too, like, we got a fantasy game involved in this as well. Like there's going to be people obviously wanting to possibly pick you for their team. So, do you get out and ride an ATV a lot or a little at all? What's the scoop on that?
Oh, no. Yeah. So I rode like 2 days ago just so that I would do something, and I'm still super sore and I barely even rode. So it's going to be a rough one, but
Byrd just got done telling me the same thing.
Yeah, I did the same thing at Loretta's. I went in cold turkey, haven't rode in 6 months, and, I was able to survive the 4-lap races that they had. But no, I don't think I raced a worse race maybe 6 months ago, or maybe a year. It's been a while.
Okay.
It's really hard to ride out. And where I live, especially in ATV, it's almost impossible. You can't even buy a brand new Yamaha in California. So, they don't like 4-wheelers. That's always why I wanted to go back east, because, a little more appreciated back there.
It's going to be the place to be on the planet for sure when it comes to an ATV. As far as next weekend goes, it's going to be the ATV capital of the world for a weekend there at Briarcliff. So yeah, man, stoked to see you be a part of this thing. Super. I think you add some flair to the class for sure. You add some, kind of unique background and everything to it. So obviously, like I said, I want to do a long form podcast with you for sure in the future. Let's kind of tease that though. Do you have a favorite memory from racing that season or two over here? Because not only did you race a season here, and like I said, get on the podium, be a staple of the top 5 in the pro class, all those things. It was pretty cool when you and Bo Barron came over here ahead of that though, like in the seasons prior, and like just showed up and were, pretty damn competitive in the pro class. Like that was cool too. So I guess favorite memory, or if you have one or whatever about your time over here on the East Coast riding your ATV.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, yeah, anytime I got a hole shot, cause I think I got a couple, when I did that 1 year racing the whole season, but it's probably easily the easiest thing to remember. I'm the whole thing, keep these guys behind me for at least a corner or two. But yeah, it was always my dream to go race back east. It coming from California, it's super hard and it takes a lot of resources to get back there. So, we always just would go to one or two, whenever we had room for it to, get all the way over there. And then when I had that opportunity through Eller to do it the whole year, I was pumped. I had a great time. And, it's just one of those things. I just didn't think it was possible to live in California and compete against, those top guys.
Yeah, pretty cool to think that you check that off the list, because I understand. I don't understand firsthand, but I understand that it's hard for where you guys come from to be able to come and do this. Obviously, it's half a world away, or whatever on this side of the country. And obviously, we don't see many people that come from California do this thing. So cool for you to check that off the list. Awesome for you to be a part of this event, obviously. Last question, expectations, goals. Like, I'm sure everybody's told me so far, we're just in it to have fun. But I think at that moment in time when the gate drops, right? Like things are going to get competitive, at least for a moment. So what are your thoughts, expectations, goals coming into this thing, pal?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, we have like 40 of us, so now I don't know if we're going to have to qualify. But yeah, when I saw Wimmer, start to train and practice for this, I'm like, oh yeah, we're still racers and everyone's still going to go for each other. And this might be super sketchy because we're all, out of practice. And we're going to pretend like we still do this every day. So,
right.
Yeah, I'll shoot. I'll try to get the whole shot first to try to qualify, I guess. I don't even know what the rules are or what, the moto format is, but a whole shot with the Curve Sparks motor, I'm going to try it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Put yourself in good position. And then I think everybody's going to get tired and whoever starts in front's got a big advantage. So yeah, pal. Awesome. Like I said, stoked to have you involved with their race. I can't thank you enough for your time here. And man, looking forward to seeing you in Ohio. It's going to be a blast.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for having me. And yeah, we'll see you soon. I'll probably be racing a class if you're racing there too.
Well, I'm commentating at Briarcliff, so I'll be on the mic at Briarcliff. But yeah, stoked to see you in a couple other classes. That'll be awesome. And that was what I was hoping, is to maybe see some guys race some other classes, add some flair, so it'll be like legendary excitement all weekend long. That was the hope. So I guess the last question then, stemming from that, is I saw you have the Honda, like you mentioned, the Honda that we remember you on, but you have a mint Yamaha too. So how do you decide what you're going to race?
Yeah, for the Legends race, we'll obviously race the Honda, because that's what I raced when I went back there. But, talking to everyone.
Possibly ride the Yamaha in the other class, maybe?
Yeah, and then, I just need to get some time on that thing. I barely rode it. I think I raced one race on it.
Okay.
I have like 2 hours on that thing, and it's all brand new. But yeah, everyone keeps telling me how great the Yamaha is, and Honda parts are getting harder and harder to find. So
it's true.
I figured I might as well get one if I'm going to hop on one every once in a while.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, it looks beautiful. I think you'll love it, at least speaking from experience with mine. But yeah, man, I'm sure you got stuff to do. I don't want to take too much of your time, but yeah, can't wait to see you over here. So stoked that you're going to be a part of this thing, and safe travels. We'll see you next weekend, pal.
Okay. See you. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Look forward to doing this again. All right, guys, we're capping our Legends Race preview episode here with the only current AMA ATV Pro on the show this week. But this guy kind of played a role with some of these riders, kind of gave some of these guys, a couple of these guys at least, a place to kind of shake off the cobwebs, maybe fall in love with riding again, stuff like that. I'm obviously talking about Nick Gennusa. And Nick, I would think, now you kind of created a beautiful place out there from what I've seen, some place that I know you're really proud of. Track's amazing. And if you would have told yourself as a young guy that you would have Travis Spader and Dustin Wimmer coming to your facility to start riding again and kind of getting back in the flow of things in, the ATV motocross realm, you probably would have thought that I needed to pinch you because you were dreaming.
Dude, that is a very spot on statement. It's funny you say that because, I feel like I was having this conversation with somebody recently. There's certain parts of my life where, I got very far with, and certain things I just went way bigger than I ever dreamed of, and others didn't, but I'm not complaining about anything by any means. So it's very cool. I don't even know where to start. I think I'd be better if you asked me, because I could talk and talk, but if you asked me either one of those guys, I could start somewhere. So
give me the lowdown on, because for me, at least from my perspective, you're a main reason, if not the reason why Spader, kind of signed back up to do this thing, because, you and I even I didn't play a role, but like the little bit that I was trying to poke some buttons, push some buttons and whatever to kind of pull this thing off. And I think that you're kind of the biggest advocate to dragging Spader back out to do this thing. And now it looks like he's done a decent amount of riding, and he's riding a 2-stroke, which everybody stoked about the 250R thing and all that stuff. So I think that you're kind of the guy to thank for dragging him out here to do this thing.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes back to the ATV racing community. And it's funny how things work, the universe, God works, whatever you want to call it. Just, it came together very quickly, 4 or 6 weeks ago between you and I. And, I developed a relationship, and I'll talk about Dustin a little bit too, but for Travis right this second, I developed a relationship with him say back in 2010 or 11. I'm going to say 2011. And he was already, I think, retired by then, but we saw him at Unadilla, and I was maybe 15 at the time. And I think my dad had actually went up to him, and we got talking, because we only lived like a town away from each other. And, Travis plays such a big part in my early career. And, skipping forward, he plays a huge role to how I've gotten to where I am. If I look at the past, 10, 12 years. So playing this role of giving him somewhere to ride and feeling like, maybe I am the reason he came back, because the place he used to ride is no longer anymore. Like the track he used to practice at. I don't know what connections he has in New Jersey. Probably not a whole lot. I can't speak for him. I'm not saying he has none. But I would definitely think that it's a huge part, and it's not I did this for him, whatever. This is just it's amazing. This is a guy I looked up to forever, still do, and he did a lot for me. So when I say he did a lot for me, so going back, we met him in 2011, and if you remember back to A-class days, so now 2012, we live. Not so much anymore. I think we live 40 minutes apart from each other, but we used to live 10 until I moved where my track is.
Okay.
When I was living at my parents' house, Travis would bring his quad to my parents, and he came to every race that year with me. And that's when the Can-Am was big, and he had that program going. He was doing all these classes, and we traveled. And he was, the mentor, took me under his wing for the year, and he got in, as an ex-pro for fun with the Can-Am guys, and he won his championships that year. I won my 2. I mean, between the two of us, I think we had like 6 or 7 titles, because I think it was 6. I won 3 titles. He won 3. It was 6 between 2 of us. I had 3 A classes. He had, maybe it was the Open A that I didn't race that year, and then a couple age classes. Very impressive. And we traveled together. So I'm going to try to skip ahead, because I'm not going to talk too long on this. We had a great year. And after that year, he had put me together with Can-Am, and they picked me up at 17 years old. It was a 1-year deal. And this is kind of right before they went out. I was still super grateful to get that support and quads from them. And even if I got a little bit of it, I didn't even care. It was like one of the coolest things, and getting contingency money, racing quads at 17, and had like a real factory support deal. I was still showing up myself. It was my own program, but it was factory support within my program. And in quad racing, that's a big deal. So let's skip ahead even more. So he got the ball rolling on that for me, which was huge. And then when I had the year with Can-Am in 2013, I had my good races. And then that led me to 2014 with Chad Wienen. I had a 1-year deal with him. And then 2015, I went to my own race program. And then that's how those 3 years were super critical for me. And the snowball got going, and then went bigger. And then I've been doing Gennusa Racing the last, whatever you want to call it, 10, 11 years. And honestly, I don't know if I could do it twice. Like, it's just crazy how life works like that. And that was like my buildup. And I'm not done. I'm just saying that was my buildup. And think about that, like those early years with him. And we rode a lot together in 2012. And, we still talk more than ever. We didn't talk so much for a few years, not anything bad, but he didn't race so much after that. And I was doing the pro thing for a while. Mm-hmm. And this Legends race has like, even, we'll talk about Dustin too, like brought him and I close. And then Travis and I are like, we're riding again every week. It's like, it's the coolest thing. Like these are the guys I looked at in magazines. Now they're coming to my house and like, I'm the reason they're riding. Like respectfully, I'm not taking all credit for that, but like, I'm the reason, like in a way they got back into it, and nothing is really a cooler feeling than that to me. Like it's amazing. Like how quick this shit has all happened in the last 6 weeks.
Kind of cool how it comes full circle, right? Where, Travis takes you under his wing and, now, fast forward, obviously, scenarios are very different, but you're able to give him the place to ride. And without a place to ride, I don't know that this probably happens, right? Like he seems like the kind of guy that probably, he's like a perfectionist in the way that I'm sure he wanted to spin some laps and get comfortable and all those things. So pretty cool for you to play that role there, have a place for him to ride and drag him in. And things happened very fast that day when you made this happen with him. You and I were messaging back and forth a little bit, and some guy messaged my page and said, hey, we got a quad for him to ride or whatever. And when you texted me and was like, the screenshot of Travis saying I'm in, I'm like, man. And I think that the class itself gained a ton of momentum since then with big name guys, kind of signing on, and having guys like Travis sign on to this is a big part of that. So Dustin as well. So I already talked to Dustin. The listeners would have already heard that interview with Dustin, and it was really cool because Dustin is such a reserved dude. He's such a, he's a stoic guy, but he couldn't even hide the smile on his face about riding again, having fun again, having his little boy see him ride, really for the first time. And he was smiling just as much, talking about being at your facility and riding with you. And his buddy Jeff was talking you up and all that stuff. So Dustin was like my idol back then. I'm sure it was very similar to you. So like of all the people, Nick, that I didn't think maybe would come do this, Dustin might have been close to the top of that list, and really cool to see him stoked about doing it. And I'll let you talk on, what it's been like to have him around, what you've seen from him riding and that whole deal.
Yeah. So going towards Dustin's direction now, I think a couple of things. I don't have so much to do with him. Like I didn't reach out to him to ask come ride. I think I heard through someone, hey, Dustin's going to reach out through you, through my trainer, Dom. Dom knows him as well, really well. So I guess he got my number. Then he texted me. I knew a text was going to come within a week or two, and he texted me, and then we linked up, and it was really cool. I really feel like I hit it off with those guys. Dustin and his friend Jeff. Like I'm literally texting them to like within the last 20 minutes about other stuff, and
nice.
It's crazy, And if I could talk about Dustin and Travis, I don't know if they would have done this race together. Like they're out of the game, but they're still competitive. They have that competitive edge. And the thing with that is they're not going to do this race if they're not comfortable. So they're coming every week, like pretty much together. They only rode together like twice. But every week, like they're dedicated on the low. Like, they're neither one of them. I love them both, but neither one of them are big social media guys at all. Right. But they're both like really into it, really trying, and it's really, really cool. Now, it's not like it was the first time I met Dustin. So I actually, it's funny. I have to throw this in there. I think I brought it up to Dustin. I don't think he remembers. When I was 12, and now Dustin's 37, I'm 29, so it's 8 years between us. When he was 20 years old, he was winning his championship, first or second, right in there, right? Mm-hmm. One of those two, yep. 20 or 21. I was 12. He'd done a riding school that I signed up for when I was 12 years old. And it's funny, I was on a 90. I took his riding school. We were at a local track, Acco, New Jersey. And I actually showed up late that day because it was like a miscommunication. whatever. I thought the school started at 1 and it started at 12, whatever. I showed up late and it was within, and I can laugh about this now. Dustin doesn't really remember this. It was within like a lap or two. I was on my TRX 90 at the time. And that track was like a supercross style facility with like water in between the lanes, like these ponds. And I like went into one of them and he had to pull me out with a utility quad right in the beginning of the school. And like the front of my quad was completely submerged and I had to like jump off the back. And it was like I remember being so like embarrassed about it because I was still pretty good of an amateur racer at the time. Mm-hmm. So here's me showing up late and this guy's pulling me out of the pond and like, you know, it's funny. Like I can laugh about it now. He doesn't remember it though, but I remember this.
Right.
It's funny. I can laugh about it. And, you know, having him, you know, let's talk about him riding at my place. I wasn't sure what to expect. I mean, I didn't realize it has been like 11 years since he hasn't really rode. Mm-hmm. And when he came was like maybe 6 weeks ago for the first time. I was not riding yet. I actually didn't even start riding with him till like the last 2 weeks because I had my broken wrist and I was like letting myself completely heal before I even hopped back on a quad. I was still the first day him and Jeff came here, I was in a cast just watching. I was the guy just on the skid steer grooming the track with a cast on. And I was thoroughly impressed. Like people, I think everybody knows, like, you don't really like lose it. You lose the physical, 100% you're going to lose the physical. The guy did not forget how to ride, and he's smart. And every one more week, he's faster and faster and faster. And watching him click off laps, and just like the Dustin Wimmer you and I remember, the guy doesn't make mistakes. He's flawless. So he's getting faster and faster. And then I rode with him like 2 weeks ago, and I don't know, because he never really saw me ride, whatever. And then I came onto the track and it was like my first day back. And I don't know what they expected because I don't even know what I expected. Right. I just know that I let my healing process, and I actually feel like I did it the right way. I waited a long time before I hopped on a quad.
Yep. And
I made sure I was ready and there was no excuses. And I went right back to where I was. Like day one, I was putting back the same lap times on my track.
Okay.
And we're talking to Dustin that day and we had an intense day. I feel like I woke up the next morning after not riding for 2 months, and I did a full day with Dustin Wimmer at my house. And I felt like I did a national, like the next day, like physically. And he was shot. But reason being, we both were pushing each other so hard that day. And this is me, like first day back, broken wrist. And I have that competitive edge too. And like, we're going. And then he, at that point, what I saw, he had so much more in the tank, but he's been riding by himself and didn't really ride with any other quads. And then, you know, words out of his mouth, he's like, I thought I was going good. You came in and made me push harder. And his speed changed like drastically. And then they brought the race quad the next week. And then it was like even more drastic.
Okay.
And, I put down pretty fast laps in my track, and he was honestly pretty close. I think the closest he got was like 3 seconds. And I know it sounds like a lot, but my track is so technical. And I don't know as if anyone besides Joel Hetrick that's been here has gotten that close to me on my track. Usually I have a pretty big gap over people. Mm-hmm. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't thoroughly impressed with the guy. And he got it back so quickly. And then we had another week and it was even better. And, you know, I don't want to overhype him, but I think these guys are going to have their work cut out for him. That guy gets a start. Good luck. You're hearing it from here first.
Yeah, man, that's exciting. You're basically echoing the same thing that Jeff said.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you right now, out of my mouth, you quote this, you could put this on the Instagram. He gets a good start. They're going to have their work cut out for them. Every single person. Now, John Natale, I am not sleeping on too. It's going to be, the win's probably going to be between those two.
That's the same thing that I think too.
I don't sleep on Natale.
Yeah, and we've seen him racing and riding a lot recently. So it comes down to those two guys, I think, that are the favorites. But I also think that I got this gut feeling that there's going to be somebody that we're not really expecting, right? Like not a former champion, somebody, and I don't know which one it's going to be, whether it's RP, who's also still very much on my radar, or Haagsma or somebody like that, right? That's fast and still relatively current and all these things. But yeah, super exciting. I just, to get that smile out of Dustin, to see him excited about riding again, to hear those guys talk about it, and now to hear you talk about, how cool it was from your perspective to have these guys hanging around your place and spinning laps again and stuff like that, man. That's a really cool thing. So I didn't want to do this episode without talking to you, because I knew you'd have a really cool perspective. And so after watching these guys, we kind of talked about, where you think, Dustin is maybe going to slot in there. I think that there's a lot of people that are very curious to see where Travis fits in being on the two-stroke. Just because, there's so much two-stroke love, 250R love out there. So I'm assuming that there's been some dialing in, knowing Travis and being that it's a 250R, I'm sure that they've been doing some dialing on that thing. I would expect him to be competitive in the middle of the class somewhere, right? So how do you see that working out?
So I've had a lot of time on my hands. Now I'm like back into my routine riding training, and I'm actually going up to New York tomorrow to do a New England race.
I thought so. Yeah.
So that being said, I've been doing a lot of YouTube stuff, and if you've seen it or if anyone else has seen it, it's been all dialing with that quad. And I gotta think about how I'm going to say this. The 250R is super, super cool. I think the quad's sick, and I think it's in the videos and the pictures. It's sick. You got to see it in person. Like it's freaking sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 250R, like honest opinion, it's cool. It's not bad. Like I'm friends with a guy, Howie, who owns it. I think it's an amazing quad. Yep. I just think that Travis is going to have, I'm not going to say a hard time. It's not him. It's just up against fast 450s. And it's a thing of the past. And I think where Travis is, he's more leaning towards that because, that was his day. And for Travis, like he wants to represent like his day. And that's what's cool about this race. Do I still think he's taking it serious? Yeah, I do think. Travis is not slow on that by any means. I rode with him actually. What's today? Thursday. I rode with him Tuesday. He was going good. And I was pushing and, thinking about where he started, and he wasn't too comfortable on the quad at first. They changed suspension, a lot of different jetting, different carburetor, this, that. And he finally said the other day, in the same day that he hit all the jumps in my house, that I'm ready. Like I'm not riding anymore. He's not going to ride next week. And he's like, now I'm comfortable. That's it. And if he's ready, he's not going to BS you. He's going to say he's ready. But it took 5 or 6 weeks of every week trying stuff. And I respect the effort on everyone's part. And, I have a small part of just, providing the place and having the cool track and the shop to do whatever changes we need. But the guy, Howie, who's letting him ride that quad is a huge part in this too. And he's got, I don't know, I'm not going to say he has a lot of time on his hands. The guy slammed as a full-time job, and he's making all this time for Travis, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
As far as that quad, I think it's going to be hard, like awesome quad, not slow, not like worse. It's just not apples to apples. It's two different eras. And me, I'm always going to shoot it straight. Like it's just two different eras, and Travis is doing this just to represent the time that he came from. And I think people should just respect that. Like win, lose, first, last, like this guy's out here representing the year 2000. It's badass.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was one of the things. That's why I kind of asked the question, is because I think it is really cool. He's representing his era. He's riding something different. Like, everybody's taking their own spin on what this Legends race means, right? Like for Travis, he's riding something that is nostalgic from his era. There's other guys that are, like you kind of referenced, they're taking it as competitive as can be and riding the nicest quad that they can find. And all, there's nothing wrong with that. It's going to be very fun to put them all on the track at the same time and see what happens. But really, really cool that this thing all came together. And like I said, I knew you'd have a really cool perspective, being that these guys are spinning laps at your track and you've kind of seen this progression. So you were the perfect guest to end this thing with. And then let's end it lastly with yourself. Obviously you referenced racing the ATV series this weekend out there. And obviously it sounds like you should be back for Briarcliff, right? So tell me like how your wrist is feeling. You said you referenced already, you really took this thing seriously. You let it fully heal. You did it the right way, which you got to feel really good about that part of it, at least. So the last time we had you on the show, you were still in the cast and the whole 9 yards. So how you feeling? Yeah. And I'm sure you're fixing and stoked to go racing yourself at Briarcliff.
Yeah, I think me think back to the last couple weeks here. So the first time I rode was the week of Pleasure Valley. Let's say Pleasure Valley was on a Saturday. I rode that Tuesday or Wednesday before. I'm not going to ride one time first back and then go do the race that weekend. Could I have raced 2 weeks ago? Probably. But it would not have been, or 1 week ago, it would not have been where I wanted to be. Mm-hmm. My season is shot. I missed 4 races. There's no gain to running or rushing back right this second. No. And I'm not, I've rushed injuries before and I've always made myself worse. And if any young kid or any rider is listening to this, it's a hard pill to swallow. You've got to let yourself heal. And I'm going to take this injury I've had a phenomenal recovery. I still feel it. It's not like I don't know it. Like I wear a wrist brace now. I waited over 8 weeks and it was like 4 to 6 weeks. He said, don't do anything. And then he said 6 to 8. And normally I'm the guy to start doing stuff at 6. And I waited till 8. And 8 was like a little bit questionable, but I did a couple things in the gym and felt like, okay, the wrist can take this now. And I think it's why I transitioned back so quickly. 2 weeks ago, I rode a quad for the first time. And if Briarcliff was this weekend, I could race. But the difference between 2 weeks ago and now was actually pretty significant because I could have raced Pleasure Valley, but I'd be lying if I said the day after I rode, I wasn't sore. This is old movement I haven't done in 8+ weeks.
Right.
And every one more week has been huge. Mm-hmm. So going back to this weekend, there was a New England race and I haven't had any gate drops. I know the track owner really well at Jack's track. It's a cool track. And I'm going to go up there. I'm loaded up right now. I'm going there tomorrow. I think Dustin's actually going up. I don't know if he just said that or not.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
I'm spilling the beans on that one. He is going up this weekend. Okay. And I don't know when you're putting this out, but it might already be a done deal. He is going up. I talked him into doing that with me, which is funny because I didn't think he would. But I think the tipping point for Dustin was when I told him Natalie did a New England last weekend. And I think he's like, all right, I'll come do it with you. But
nice.
Yeah, it's been good. Again, I waited. And just like I said with Dustin, it's not like he forgot how to ride. I didn't forget how to ride. Like I worried for two months straight. Like, can I still do this? And I watched everyone. I watched Dustin for a month. I watched Travis, but I stayed busy in the gym. I stayed busy. Well, I say gym. There's only so many things I could have did. I was running a lot and spin bike, and that was really about it. Mm-hmm. I wasn't even mountain biking, which I do quite a bit because I didn't have anything on the hand. So
right.
My transition back was like pretty darn quick. I picked up right where I left off, and I got to get the nerves out. It's been a little bit, and that's why I'm going to sign up for a couple classes this weekend with those guys and give it hell. And it's 1 week out from Briarcliff, and I haven't put it out there on social media that I'm returning to that, but that's the plan. I'll put it out next week, I'm sure, at some point, but I usually wait till last second. But that's the plan, to be racing that and Loretta's and finish out the year. Just even though I'm beat on points, I have no idea. I'm probably out of the top 10. I haven't looked, and I'm not going to look. But I'm coming back just to show these guys I'm still here, and to try to keep my sponsors happy a little bit.
Yeah, man. I thought I could, kind of just get the feeling that you were probably coming back for it. I know Pleasure Valley was the goal, and I think that you played it the right way by being totally ready for this thing when you come back. And yeah, like I said, I had the feeling, especially when I saw you were going to go do a little racing this weekend. I figured this was the test run and give it a full go next weekend, pal. But taking enough of your time. Best of luck this weekend, pal. Safe travels, all that jazz. Safe travels to Briarcliff there. Thanks for, chatting it up with me about the Legends race, and best of luck there as well. I'm sure we'll see you. And I know you and I share so much of the passion for this thing, right? We came up at about the same era. We enjoyed all the same guys, and kind of got bit by the bug at the same time. So I know for a fact that you are just as stoked about this Legends thing and seeing all this play out next weekend as I am. So again, best of luck to yourself. Enjoy this thing with us, and safe travels, and we'll see you there. But I really appreciate you ending this episode with me, because this was perfect, pal.
Safe travels to you as well, and I will see you guys there. It's exciting. It's going to be cool. So I think think everyone should try to make it out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge, man. I can't wait to see the sea of people, even for you guys to race in front of too. I think it's going to add to the excitement.
From a spectator aspect or standpoint, like that day is slam packed of cool stuff.
Yes.
Like just 4 hours straight from like 12 to 4 is like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It might not ever happen again. And if it does, it might not be as big as its first one.
Well, you're never going to have this exact group of guys back together,
Right.
So it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thanks again for everything. And we'll see you in about a week's time.
Very good.
Awesome, man.
See you, man.
Have a good night.
You too.
Man, I am so jacked up right now. I can't believe this Legend race is happening, and I can't believe it's finally here. Please note that I tried to chat with as many of these guys as possible. At this point, I've been at my desk for 12 straight hours editing and piecing this thing together, and that doesn't include the recording time with our guests. So it's been a big week for sure. But that being said, there was a few more guests that I desperately wanted, but it just didn't work out. I talked to Digger on the phone in the middle of the night, but predictably, he's so swamped, he didn't have time to record. I talked to Dana Creech while he was working. I talked to Pat Brown while he was away in Alaska. And John Natale as well just had a million things going on, and we couldn't get our schedules to match up here. But I appreciate those guys trying to make it work. As badly as I wanted to talk to every legend, I really like the mix of updates and mystery that we still have here. Honestly, I'm relishing in every aspect of this event. I'm just trying to live in the moment, and I want to savor this thing for as long as we can, because like we've spent the last few hours outlining, I don't think that this is going to happen again. Also, I want to make a note, as some of you might have seen, that Nick Denoble had a little health scare since this interview was recorded. So I'm thinking about my buddy, praying for his health. Of course, that's paramount here, but I'm also hoping that everything with the event can go off without a hitch for Nick, because I know how much he was looking forward to this. With that, a big thanks to tonight's featured guests, Dustin Wimmer, Joe Byrd, Shane Hitt, Kory Ellis, Nick Denoble, David Haagsma, Nick Gennusa, and Jeremy Osborn. Thanks to special guest Jeff Scharf. Thanks to producer Dallas Jansen, my brother, for all his hard work. Thanks to my wife, Brooke, and thanks to AMA official Harv Whipple for everything. And thanks to all of our donors. Thanks to all of our partners. CST Tires, go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Numera Technologies, Bronco ATV and UTV Components, Lauderdale Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, the financial advice of the Haymauer Financial Group, DP Brakes, Factory 43, Binkies Forever ATC Museum, Impact Solutions, Ultimate Poly Products, UPP Racing. Use discount code DiggingDeep15 at uppracing.com, the D6 Ultimate Quad Series, and Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at manscaped.com. And I want to do something special. If you send me a screenshot of an order that you've placed since this recording on manscaped.com using our Digging Deep 20 code, I will send you a free piece of Digging Deep merch. So there's no better time than using that Digging Deep 20 code at manscaped.com than now. Support other brands to support our show, and don't forget to use those codes to save. Find it all on our website, and be sure to click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner for all your gear and parts needs and to help us out. And most of all, thanks to you guys for listening. Shop our Digging Deep merch at shop.diggingdeepatvmx.com, and we will have hundreds of shirts with us at Briarcliff, including a bunch of Legends Never Die tees in all colors and sizes. Perfect to have our Legends signed and autograph for you. That being said, we won't have a tent at Briarcliff, being that I'm announcing, so we may need to get creative with linking up. But if you send us a message, maybe we can do some of that facilitating on Friday at the racetrack when we have less responsibilities going on. You can find all things Digging Deep ATV Fantasy related at atvfantasy.com, and you'll find tier changes for this one, including our tier 5 riders, Doug Gust, Travis Spader, Shane Hitt, John Natale, Dustin Wimmer, and Joe Byrd, and tier 6 riders, Kory Ellis, Dana Creech, Tavis Kane, Johnny Hale, Cale Downing, Doug Eichner, Josh Upperman, Pat Brown, David Haagsma, Nick Denoble, Richard Pelchat, Tyler Hamrick, Justin Brees, Billy Cottage, Barry McCarty, Greg G, and Chris Bithell. It is going to be legendary. If you're looking for another easy way to help support us, visit our website and click the Patreon or Buy Me Coffee donation buttons. This allows you to set up a one-time or monthly contribution to support our efforts. Follow the show on social media, Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, and myself, Cody Jansen, for additional content, coverage, and more fun stuff, as we are just days away from the ATV Motocross event of the decade. And via our social media channels, don't forget to check out that Quad Cross of Nations VIP experience. Like I said, it's the opportunity of a lifetime, so check that out for sure. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and more. Wherever you find podcasts, you'll find the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. All episodes, additional podcast providers, sponsor links and discount codes, show merchandise, fantasy info, Quad Cross of Nations, and more can all be found on our website, diggingdeepatvmx.com, so check that out today. Be a friend, tell a friend, please download, subscribe, rate, review, and share. And with that, for Dustin Wimmer, Joe Byrd, Shane Hitt, Kory Ellis, Nick Denoble, David Haagsma, Nick Gennusa, Jeremy Osborn, Brooke Jansen, Dallas Jansen, and I'm your host, Cody Jansen. Thanks for listening to and making us the most listened to podcast in ATV racing, with more than 260,000 downloads last month in 109 total countries. Until next time, thanks for joining us in Digging Deep with the Stars of ATV Motocross. Things are crashing and burning here at the Digging Deep podcast, much like the Titanic.
Those guys were hauling ass, for real.
I remember watching Doug Gus, I don't know who it was, Steel City, running the same times Friday afternoon as James Stewart was on Sunday back then. It was mental. I've never seen quads go that fast.
Quad leaders are freaking gnarly.